the annexation of the Golan Heights, though it will almost certainly be used as doing so. Haley suggested this would be the new normal and that the U.S. would not abstain from useless annual votes on Israeli matters. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap and Amazon, at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com. UPI reports Florida's Attorney General is suing the two largest drugstore companies in the United States, CVS and Walgreens, alleging they are contributing to the state and national opioid crisis. In a press release Friday, Pam Bondi said the two companies were being added to an existing lawsuit filed in May against Purdue Pharma, which makes OxyContin, and several other manufacturers. Bondi, who is departing as the state's Attorney General, has been mentioned for the top post in the U.S. Department of Justice, said CVS and Walgreens are overselling painkillers and not being diligent enough with stopping illegal sales. She said, "We will continue to pursue these companies that played a role in creating the opioid crisis. Thousands of Floridians have suffered as a result of the actions of the defendants." Walgreens has 820 stores and CVS has 754 stores in Florida. The complaint noted Walgreens sold 2.2 million tablets to a single Walgreens pharmacy in Tiny Hudson, a roughly 6-month supply for each of its 12,000 residents. CVS is accused of selling more than 700 million opioid doses between 2006 and 2014 in the state. CVS said in a statement, "We are committed to the highest standards of ethics and business practices, including complying with all federal and state laws governing the dispensing of controlled substance prescriptions, and CVS is dedicated to helping reduce prescription drug abuse and diversion. We also have stringent policies, procedures, and tools to help ensure that our pharmacists properly exercise their professional responsibility to evaluate controlled substance prescriptions before filling them." Walgreens declined comment, but its website says, "Help us fight prescription addiction. Together we can stop an epidemic." It says that the pharmacist is your best source of information about drug usage. Zencash has changed their name to Horizon to better represent their transition from a cryptocurrency to a pioneering platform that protects consumer data. They're working towards the day when anyone will be able to build privacy-based applications on the Horizon platform and generate income from them. This will allow Horizon to bring thousands of real-life services to the community, services that provide freedom, utility, and privacy. Learn more at horizon.global and join the Horizon community, HORIZEN.global. Reuters reports rain is on the way for fire-scorched and smoke-choked Northern California, according to forecasters on Sunday, as the search for the dead and missing continued after the state's most destructive wildfires. The wildfires have already claimed at least 76 lives, and the number of people missing jumped on Saturday to 1,276, despite authorities locating hundreds of people who scattered when the Camp Fire tore through the mountain town of Paradise. The National Weather Service's Prediction Center said up to 4 inches of rain is expected to fall from late on Tuesday through Friday in the Sierra foothills, including Paradise, which was all but obliterated by the Camp Fire. Rain is also predicted to fall on San Francisco, helping to clear air filled with unhealthy levels of smoke from the Camp Fire about 175 miles to the north. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
It's the Onion Radio News. Teen sex is linked to alcohol and drugs by the Center for Figuring Out Really Obvious Things. This is Doyle Redland reporting. An exhaustive 4-year, $23 million study of substance abuse and sexual habits of more than 2,500 American teens has confirmed that young people between the ages of 13 and 18 who drink and or use drugs are more likely to be sexually active. Dr. Gerald Eckersley is director of the Boston-based organization.
We found that this phenomenon also occurs among adults as well as every population everywhere in the world that has ever existed since the dawn of time.
The center has sent a teleprompter-ready press release of its findings to more than 400 local TV news affiliates across the U.S., along with stock video footage of beer displays and teens smoking and drinking at parties. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live. It is Free Talk Live, and you are free to call in and talk live here on this live Sunday night edition of Free Talk Live. It's Mark with you.
I'm Laurel.
And Darryl.
If it is between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern Time, whatever day it might be, we are here taking your calls. And as a matter of fact, we've got a call on the line right now. The number 855-450-3733. We do bring in show prep, but I'm not going to get to any of it until after we've gotten through Dave in New Hampshire. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, gentlemen.
And a lady.
Gentlemen, ladies, and/or lady, and/or gentlemen. Have you heard about my latest right to record incident?
I may have heard about it just moments ago, but I can tell you my listeners haven't.
Okay, well, on election day, I attempted to, go vote, and thought, well, I'm not really here to film anything necessarily, but if something interesting happens, I'll film it. And something sort of interesting happened in that I thought, some of these rules some of these new rules to register seem kind of, I haven't heard of some of these rules before, and I'm not sure about this, so I want to get it documented as they're telling me what I have to do in order to register. So I started filming, and the town moderator ordered me not to film while I was voting.
Oh, so this is the selfie law kind of thing where you're not supposed to take a picture of your ballot?
Not really. I think that may have be a thing of the past.
Okay.
It was more that he was trying to keep me from voting, or from not from voting, but from filming in the within this sort of roped in area where I actually cast the ballot. It's kind of a it's probably about a 20 meter by 20 meter space.
Yeah. Any idea why?
In there,
I mean,
it's just saying if you cross this rope, you got to stop filming.
Okay. I've been in these areas, and it doesn't seem like there's any good secrets that they're keeping in there. Any ideas why?
I can speculate why, though I'd like to hear if the moderator wound up giving Dave a reason why, and then I'll speculate if it's different.
He did, and he was pretty good about answering my questions. He said that he didn't want me photographing anyone's ballot. In fact, before anything else had really happened, as soon as he saw me filming, the bureaucrat who was explaining the registration process to me, as soon as he saw me filming that, he approached and told me, well, you can't film any ballots, which, of course, is not a problem. I'm not there to film anyone else's ballot. Although I don't think I think he seemed to indicate that I can take a photograph of my own ballot.
Correct.
But I don't know if that you only have the ballot, I think, while you're inside the roped area, so it would have been impossible to comply and get a picture of the ballot, I think.
No, you can take a photograph of your own ballot, but you can't take photographs of other people's ballots, and you can't take video because you might catch other people's ballots.
Well, I think he's wrong about whether I can film in that area. I don't know of any provision against doing that. And in fact, he didn't say there was one. He just said that he called the Secretary of State's office, and the Secretary of State's office told him that he could set whatever filming restrictions he wanted, pretty much.
Yeah, that sounds accurate.
I guess he's moderating, right?
That's actually the way it is, that the authorities really can lawfully stop you from filming inside the roped area, because I think he's breaking the law.
Well, they need to protect the privacy of the people while they're voting because it's supposed to be a secret ballot. So whatever they think that they need to do to protect the secrecy of the voting process, I think is important. So I think I'd have to side with the moderator on this one.
The moderator is correct that he has a lot of discretion given to him by statute and the Secretary of State. If you're asking whether I think you have a standing for a lawsuit or anything, I would direct you to the ACLU. They might think differently, but from the legal standpoint of does the moderator have the authority to set some rules inside his polling place, he absolutely does.
I would have to say that if somebody's wandering around with their ballot just hanging out, that people are liable to look at it and, memory, they can write it down and then they could, broadcast that on YouTube. So, to me, if you haven't folded your ballot when you left the private voting booth, then you'd want your ballot seen, apparently. I mean, in the same way that if you put pants on, we know you don't want your private parts seen. If you don't put pants on, you apparently want them seen. So
I don't know. If somebody's standing there with a video camera filming people as they're voting, it could be perceived as a form of intimidation.
It could be seen that way. I'm just saying that.
Speaking of voter intimidation, someone came up to me while I was trying. The way they've got it set up is if you're gonna kind of operate alone as you're trying to fill out your registration form, if you don't want to be taking up space, in front of a bureaucrat, you have to kind of go over to this area where your back is to everybody. And so I had my back to the whole room as I was filling out my registration form. And sure enough, someone came, looked over my shoulder, started interrogating me. He wouldn't tell me who he was, just kind of a creepy guy, wanted to know where I lived, things like that. But I felt like I was getting a little bit of voter intimidation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bizarre. I don't, I guess this whole thing about where you live is kind of an interesting question. I mean, on one hand, I guess homeless people are supposed to be able to vote. On the other, it shouldn't matter as long as you're only voting once, I guess. But if you're not asking questions and in some way or another recording who's voting and who's not, you're leaving things wide open to people cheating the system. And some people, apparently voting is valuable, so I'm told. And if it's valuable, you should have some kind of protections on it, it seems to me. So it's a complicated situation, Dave. I don't know, as far as the camera goes, I guess I didn't move to New Hampshire for the freedom to video record in a voting area. So it's not my biggest concern. Not to say that you got to kind of watch for all this stuff. You can't let them take an inch.
Yeah, it's a little bit like the situation like where if there's a few courtrooms in New Hampshire where you can't film, maybe just one. I'm not sure, but it's rare. But there are some restrictions on filming, and if you're a government person and you're like Colonel Therrien, the guy that ran the Homeland Security for Northern New England, he used to say he didn't want anybody arrested, or at least he reportedly said he didn't want to make any arrests on camera. He wanted to make sure that all the arrests they made of Free Staters, people like that, were off camera, so they could just do it inside the courthouse, because that's the one place where you can't film. If there is one place you can't film, that's where they'll bother you.
I guess when I go voting, they don't seem to bother me in that particular area. They try to get people in and out as quick as they can, but different places have different things going on. New Hampshire is unique. Florida currently going through its ballot recount. It would be a terrible situation in New Hampshire because they're all penciled in, just handwritten ballots, basically. So complicated stuff.
I think if they started arresting people in the voting area, then the ACLU might be interested.
Yes.
Yeah, suddenly things are going to get more complicated. I guess you're just going to have to video record till you get arrested, Dave.
I could. It's been done.
Thanks for the call, Dave. Appreciate it.
Oh, I should clarify, too, the video of the incident is at RidleyReport.com.
RidleyReport.com. Thanks for the call, Dave. The number is 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Darryl, apparently, of the almost $22 trillion that the United States is in debt, we could attribute about $6 trillion of that to wars since 9/11?
Not entirely accurate.
Okay.
Unless you're assuming that all of the money spent since 2001 is debt and not any of it coming from tax dollars.
All the money spent on war since 2001?
Yes.
Okay. Money's fungible, so yes, I could assume that.
You can assume lots of things. They aren't necessarily always accurate.
Since we've had a debt since before the Civil War, I think it's accurate to say that we're still paying interest on Civil War debt.
That would be probably accurate.
Except that it shouldn't be called a Civil War.
Yes.
855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live.
Ike was such a sweet, lovable animal, and people would want to pet him, and they'd come up, and they'd get close to him, and it would be this instant, oh! My dad didn't want to touch him. It's like, ooh, get the stinky dog away from me.
Even after we'd give her a bath, she would still stink.
Very stinky, both bad breath and bad gas. I asked the vet, and he said some dogs are just stinky.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dinovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
The digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
The ingredients convinced me that it was definitely worth trying. After about a week, he started smelling normal. My husband and I were really kind of astonished.
Dinovite is nutrition.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
The Liberty Dollar was so successful that the United States government had to take it down, and its founder, Bernard von Nothaus. Now Bernard's son Extra has launched Liberty Dollar 2. LD2 is a cryptocurrency, but each token is backed by the same gorgeous fine silver rounds that Liberty Dollar has always been known for. Your silver is secured in an audited vault and can be redeemed at any time. There's only a few thousand LD2 Zero tokens left in the crowd sale at ld2coin.io. Get yours. ld2coin.io.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You can call in and talk about whatever's on your mind this live Sunday edition. It's Mark with you.
I'm Laurel.
And Darryl.
The number's 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. And for those of you that are enjoying sports, I think football's back in season, that sort of thing.
Has been for a while, Mark.
Yeah, thank you for checking on that for me. I can't say that I know everything about
Football
that.
season begins late August.
I, however, had my own competition this week. It was the Bitcoin Cash hash war.
Nerd fight, yes.
Yeah, right. World War Geek 2.0. And you could still go to it's cash.bitcoin.com. bitcoin.coin.dance and just look at the graphs and see what's going on. At one point, there was live feeds coming. Bitcoin.com has stories that you can read about it, and basically, it just ended up being another coin fork, but it could have been much worse. So, Bitcoin.com is a great place to get news for that sort of thing, and they're big proponents of Bitcoin Cash. They believe that Bitcoin Cash more closely resembles what Bitcoin should be, and it's a more interesting world now that they've had this most recent split. So it's Bitcoin.com. Go check them out. Darryl, apparently we're talking about $6 trillion spent on war in this millennium.
So I have a question about that.
Yes.
Does that include the money that's normally budgeted for self-defense or for national defense?
Probably.
There's a 13-page report from Brown University. And let me read the article from antiwar.com before getting into sort of the analysis from the report. And they actually have all kinds of charts and everything else. So antiwar.com says a new report from Brown University is aiming to provide a close estimate of the cost of the overall cost to the U.S. government of its myriad post-9/11 wars and assorted global wars on terror. The estimate is that $5.933 trillion has been spent through fiscal year 2019. So they're including things that have been budgeted for the current fiscal year.
Okay, but we usually spend $500 billion on national defense every year. So you're talking about since 2001, that's going to be 17 years. So I would expect it to be $6.5 trillion.
They say this, of course, is vastly higher than official figures, owing to the Pentagon trying to oversimplify the cost as simple overseas contingency operations. So the official figure is, lower than this almost $6 trillion. It's only when one considers the cost of medical and disability care for veterans and future cost, along with other things like interest on the extra money borrowed for the wars, that the true cost becomes clear. That sort of vast expenditure is only the cost and obligations of the war so far, and with little signs of them ending, it's only going to grow. In particular, a generation of wars is going to further add to the medical cost for veterans being consistently deployed abroad.
Don't forget the 22 a day that commit suicide.
Yes.
And I think it's really telling that something horrible happens to them while they're in the military, that 22 veterans a day decide to kill themselves. I looked this up at one point, and there's not as many convicts in this country that kill themselves as there are veterans. Not even close. So apparently living as a veteran is worse than living as a prisoner in the United States. And I don't know what is going on. I can't, not having been in the military, I don't know what's going, and obviously not having been in these people's minds, I don't know what makes them choose to do that, but it's terrifying to think that.
Well, but is it what happened to them while they were serving, or is it because people who don't have enough direction in their lives are hoping that the military will give them that direction and are disappointed when the military really doesn't give them the direction they're looking for?
I think they're sold that bill of goods.
It could be a combination of the two, in addition to, a lot of times people will wind up coming back with, some kind of disability, be it physical or mental, and they don't know how to cope. Mm-hmm. And instead of, trying to figure out how to wind up moving forward, they think the only way to end the pain is to just end their life.
But these 22, is it 22 a year or a day?
22 per day.
A day. Are those
average.
People who have simply served in the military, or people who have seen combat?
Served.
So this could be people who never saw any combat.
Sure.
Correct. That's why I said I think
numbers
it's a
of
combination.
Yeah.
The numbers of suicides amongst veterans dwarfs anything that comes close. There's no, there's no commensurate number amongst, just civilians that are killing themselves as far as a percentage goes. I mean, I imagine more civilians kill themselves simply because there's more non-veterans than veterans. But I don't know. I mean, is it related? Some of it Is it unrelated? Some of it. There's no way to really tell one way or the other what's related and what isn't. But I think that the VA system doesn't. You got to kind of be able to navigate it yourself in many cases. And if you can navigate it yourself, or you can use one of the veterans organizations to navigate it, and there's plenty of them out there that will help you do that, then I think you can get reasonable care. But, I mean, at the same time, I've talked to veterans who say the VA is trying to kill them. So,
the VA is consistently ranked as one of the worst run agencies that the government has, and that's been going on for a very long time.
And it's telling that the Republicans have been in power plenty in the last 20 years. They could fund the VA more if they wanted to. Maybe more funding would make them a better organization. Maybe they wouldn't. I don't know. It's probably better if the United States, it's like the trolley, the ethical trolley study. If you don't pull the handle, you've done nothing wrong. So if the United States would stop fighting wars and stop making combat veterans, they would be able to claim, less responsibility for whatever it is that, whatever ails the American public.
Okay, but here's a theory. What if people who are more likely to commit suicide are also more likely to join the military, and it's possible that the military has actually decreased the rate of suicide among that population if they hadn't joined?
It's possible. I mean, it's possible, but it's speculation on the wild side. I mean, when we see people coming back from war with diagnosed cases of PTSD, and those people are killing themselves, one would presume that the PTSD and the suicide are related. Not to say that every case of suicide amongst these 22 veterans per day is PTSD related.
Exactly, and that's what I mean. Is we would need to know what percent of those people had actually seen combat to see whether that was the reason. Is it because of the military?
I don't know. I can tell you, I spoke to a veteran today who said that he was preparing to end his own life because he simply didn't like getting yelled at every day. Although he was called a combat veteran, he never saw combat. So he was in the military during a war,
right?
But not in a war. But, he got yelled at on a regular basis, day-to-day basis. He's like, I just don't want to deal with this for another 4 years.
There's a lot of jobs like that.
Yep. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. And I've got a question about what we can do about this. Free Talk Live.
What if there was a social media network only for the conservative?
What if there was a social media network not only for the conservative right general public, but also a platform for conservative politicians and advertisers?
And what if this social media network was the only free speech network in existence?
There is. It's rightsocial.net.
Rightsocial.net, a response to President Donald Trump's direct presidential order.
Rightsocial.net, where you have the right to freely speak your mind.
Rightsocial.net, the right place to be.
Looking for that edge during those intimate moments? We see many ads for enhancement, but the side effects include death. At GCN Team, we should change the Healthy Body, Brain, and Heart Pack to the Healthy Libido Pack. The brain and heart are not the only organs that require a healthy vascular system. For proper blood flow at the right moment, go to GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nesquik. Try Nesquik 4-packs, perfect for lunches and great for kids on the go. Look for it in the juice aisle. Snack time is a great chance to sneak extra calcium into your child's diet without making him feel like he's eating something he doesn't want. Serve up dairy-rich foods like smoothies, flavored milk, frozen yogurt, and string cheese. He'll love the treat, and you'll love knowing how good it is for him. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live's Live Sunday edition. It is Mark with you.
I'm Laurel.
And Darryl.
The number's 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE. We are talking about the costs of war, specifically $6 trillion, according to Brown University. And we were also discussing veteran suicide. And you guys kind of did some looking up surrounding that during the break here, because I'm just spitting out the old trope of 22 veterans per day.
It's a figure that has been around for quite a while. There was actually a VA report from 2012 that said that number, and apparently the Washington Post did some research back in 2015, and I realize, we're talking about some older numbers, but the 22 a day number has been around for quite a while, and I found a website that they sort of simplify what the Washington Post wound up coming up with. And what they say here is that the average age of veteran suicides within the data set, which was 1999 to 2011, the average age of suicide was 60 years old. So it's not representative of Iraq and Afghanistan veterans. They say a more recent study, which surveyed 1.3 million veterans who were discharged between 2001 and 2007, found that between 2001 and 2009, there were 1,650 deployed veterans and 7,703 non-deployed veteran deaths. Of those, 351 were suicides among deployed and 1,517
Could you
suicides.
Stop giving those extraneous numbers? I have no idea what you've just said. Give me round numbers.
Basically, over the 9-year period that the Washington Post looked at, it was not even one veteran per day that died via suicide.
Okay.
So the 22 number is vastly overestimating.
By the VA.
By the VA.
Huh.
Also, I found a report. This is from the Pentagon. It was the Millennium Cohort Study, and they looked at numbers from 2001 to 2007. And one of their findings was service members who never went to war, service members who went but did not experience combat, and service members who witnessed death on the battlefield were equally likely to commit suicide. So it really
I find that stunning.
It really didn't have anything to do with whether they had PTSD or not, at least not from combat.
It's like saying PTSD isn't related to suicide. It's like contrary to everything I've heard up to this point surrounding PTSD.
I mean, one of the theories is exactly what I said, that people who have some pre-existing mental health problems are more likely to join the military in search of answers to their life journey.
Sure.
And so then you might think, well, if we want to cut down this suicide rate, they should have better screening for people going into the military. But then there's the theory that I was suggesting earlier that maybe it is actually helping some people. We would need to have a group that didn't join and a group that did join and then compare the two. But I think that would be very difficult.
Yeah,
it's
it would
possible,
be difficult to find a group that wanted to join and then didn't get to join. I mean, the recruiters would hate that group.
Right, exactly. It's very hard to do a control, but it's possible that the military is actually lowering the suicide rate of that group of people. We don't know.
I suppose. I mean, the military does sell discipline, right? Like that's one of the shticks out there. And the people that will like bring back the draft. It'll give this next generation some discipline.
It's not for everybody, so I don't know about the draft.
Well, that's what the
exactly
that's what the talking point is.
Right.
That in some way or another, conscription is modern day slavery is going to somehow fix this particular generation. I'm not sure that it will. I don't know. I did attempt to sign up for the military, and because of things that were going on in my life, that wasn't going to work out.
Like
at
being
that time.
in prison.
Yeah, that was a really a big issue. But the Gulf War was going on, and I wanted to be there. Whatever, I didn't care. I'll pick up shell casings. I wanted to do my part. So. Yeah, regardless, it's all very interesting. To me, I guess the question I have for all of this is, as an anti-war activist, and for me, this is the most important thing. You can't have human freedom if you don't have humans. The people are dead, bombs dropped them, and that kind of thing. They're not. They can't have freedom because they don't have life.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, what can we do? What can I do to stop this? I don't think there's anything. At this point, there's no evidence that there's anything that an anti-war activist can do to stop what's going on. I mean, I have no say, no voice. No one has any interest. At this point, the biggest victory that the anti-war crowd has had is in recent past, the United States didn't get into the war in Syria, and I think they're basically war weary. That they just look at a pile of bodies and lost money and say, oh, we've had enough, that's what happened with the World War I generation, the World War II generation, and now it's this generation. I mean, do Americans just have to fight their way to exhaustion every generation? I have no idea what I'm supposed to do on this, other than I know I'm supposed to pay the war debt, continue to pay the interest on the war debt. I know I'm supposed to do that. Does anyone have any thoughts? The number is 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. I just don't know, and I find this to be a question that I can't answer. Standing out on Central Square with a sign at a vigil is not going to do it.
I think the best thing you can do is vote. And I know you don't put a lot of stock in that.
I don't. No.
But that's it. Sorry, but that's it.
Yeah, that's it. You can vote. But you're not even given an anti-war candidate. Trump's the closest thing we got to an anti-war candidate.
Right, and he said he wanted to bomb the S out of Syria.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, between the two, I don't know about Gary Johnson. He probably would have been he was a better choice, I think, than Trump or Clinton. But it's not like anyone that was under any delusions he was going to win.
Jill Stein was probably the anti-war candidate of the people that were on, enough ballots to theoretically win.
Sure, I hear you.
Probably what you're doing right now is one of the greatest things that you can do for any political thing is to get the word out there and try to convince other people to agree with you.
I think that's about the only thing you can do, and it is thin sauce, I gotta say.
So a little bit more from this article that I pulled up. They cite an LA Times report that says that while veterans have a suicide rate 50% higher than those who never served in the military, the rate of suicide was slightly higher among veterans who were never deployed to Afghanistan or Iraq, suggesting that the causes extend beyond the trauma of war. And then they go on to talk about just some of the difficulties of adjusting back into civilian life after having been in the military.
I can tell you as an ex-con, that's a real issue.
Right. I was going to say, there's probably also some similarities of people that have spent a lot of time incarcerated. There's that, integration phase that happens, and I'm curious what the suicide rate is of convicts that spent some,
I did hear about
long
one
time.
I don't,
not 3 months.
Yeah, I don't know what the statistics are, but I did hear about one time, and I got to say, as a person in prison, hearing about somebody who got out of prison and committed suicide, that is some frustrating stuff there. The idea he got out and he committed suicide, but I think that many people, probably the military and prison, both, they consider that EOS date, that end of sentence or end of service date, it's the same for both, EOS, it's the finish line as opposed to the start line. In reality, it's the start line. You're starting your new life.
Just pulled something up from medicaldaily.com, report back in 2015, suicide rate among released male prisoners 8 times higher than national average.
Gosh. So it is. It's the integration thing. It wouldn't have been something that I considered, but I can tell you that there were times when I was pretty demoralized. I didn't really fit in. I was strange, and people didn't know why I was strange because I wasn't telling anybody I was an ex-convict. But, yeah, you either fit in or you don't, and that's how that goes. The number is 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. I am really interested in hearing what your thoughts are. What can somebody do to stop wars? I don't know how they can. 855-450-FREE as in freedom. Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite.
Dynavite is nutrition.
Pick up 2 bottles of Lico Chops, get the 3rd bottle free.
New improved Lico Chops with omega-3, omega-6, vitamin E.
And now, 6 extra direct-fed microbials.
Even better for the digestive tract and immune system.
Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynavite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
The Liberty Dollar was so successful that the United States government had to take it down, and its founder, Bernard von Nothaus. Now Bernard's son Extra has launched Liberty Dollar 2. LD2 is a cryptocurrency, but each token is backed by the same gorgeous fine silver rounds that Liberty Dollar has always been known for. Your silver is secured in an audited vault and can be redeemed at any time. There's only a few thousand LD2 Zero tokens left in the crowd sale at ld2coin.io. Get yours. ld2coin.io.
Times are changing. The circus of politics, healthcare's low standards and high prices, and let's not forget food quality. What to do? Arm yourself with Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. In a world of chemical imbalance and poor air and water quality, it's time you make a move. Log on to getthetea.com and stock up on organic non-GMO supplements. Don't forget the tea. Cleansing your body never felt so good. And we have a brand new tea called Takedown Tea, which helps support healthy glucose. All natural body support so you can be at your best, naturally. All you have to do is log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. We're not a fad that comes and goes. We are the real deal. Join us and armor up. Getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Changing America's health one tea bag at a time.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. The LRN.FM's social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. The number is 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE here on this live Sunday edition. It's Mark with you.
I'm Laurel.
And Darryl.
Let's go to the phones. We got some calls on here. I wanted to real quick tell you about Anarchapulco. They're going to have all kinds of speakers there. Ron Paul, Judge Napolitano, Doug Casey, Larkin Rose, David Icke, Cynthia McKinney's calling herself an anarchist now. Vit Jedlicka, the president of Liberland. They're the biggest names in the liberty movement, and they'll be at the largest gathering of free thinkers, voluntarists, libertarians, and ANCAPs in Anarchapulco, Mexico, from February the 14th to the 17th at Anarchapulco. We will be there too. Free Talk Live will be there again, and it's a great event. You'll love it. The lineup of speakers discussing entrepreneurship, investments, politics, philosophy, health, sustainability, lifestyles, personal relationships for 4 days among the sun and beaches, the world-class resort. As a matter of fact, they've got events going on before and after. It is there's nothing like it. This is the largest Liberty event, and I think it's just the most fun of any that I've been to, or at least any that you could go to now. I think sort of the pork fests of half a decade ago were pretty cool, maybe a bit longer than that, but anarchapulco.com, go check it out. Use code FTL, receive a discount, Anarchapulco, code FTL. Let's go to the phones. We've got Dale calling in from South Carolina. Dale, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Well, I just thought I'd offer my general idea here that you've got matters of principle and matters of fact, and we shouldn't confuse the two. So on principle, as long as you live in a world full of humans, you're going to have law, and you're going to have to enforce the law. And war is kind of like the last resort of enforcing particular things, if a country's out of line and attacking another country or doing whatever. That's just a principle, I think, that means that war isn't necessarily totally avoidable.
I would agree with you that war is not totally avoidable. I just tend to think that, I'm an American. I look at U.S. history more than most. I am probably not the best person to look at it, say, for Germany or Japan or England or any of these other places. But, it seems like the United States has spent a lot more of its time at war than not. I think that the number was 17 years out of the close to 240 that's been in existence have been without a war.
So I just wanted to offer the second half of that, the matter of fact as opposed to the matter of principle.
Yep.
And the facts I see are that we've got all these underlying things going on in secret behind the scenes with all these politicians and the bankers and the big money and all that.
Right.
And it seems like they always come to the point where they need some kind of trigger to trigger the Congress to vote to go to war, like they used the incubator baby thing in the Gulf War,
right?
Used Gulf of Tonkin and the Vietnam War, that sort of thing.
There was the rape
So
rooms.
that's where I
Saddam
took it
had
back.
rape rooms. That was part of the
Yeah,
Iraq
yeah,
War.
yeah.
We haven't found them. No one took a picture of these rape rooms, but you know they were there. Darn it! I remember
Just like
Glenn
those,
Beck talking about them.
Weapons of mass destruction that during George Bush's final White House Correspondents' Dinner, he made jokes about looking under the podium. They got to be somewhere.
Yeah. So that's there was some, I can't remember what his name was off the top of my head, but one of his cronies basically said, we were forced into the, looking, for these weapons of mass destruction. But anyway, go ahead, Dale.
Well, anyway, I just think that people should look at the principles and then look at the facts and then try to figure out where are we being scammed as opposed to being informed. If we were informed and shown the facts, then that'd be one thing. But there's always a trigger, that starts these things, and then you find out later, it's usually fake.
So often.
So,
Thanks for the call, Dale.
So that's your job. Okay.
That it is. Keep talking about these things. Thanks for the call. The number is 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. It's obviously easy to sit here and look at any situation with the ability to, have hindsight. And the conclusion I've come to is that we should just be slower to go to war, not because war is, this terrible evil that should never be used in any circumstance ever, but because it is employed, at least by the United States, far too often.
Right.
One of the things I think of is that if somebody would have considered using the radio a little more during D-Day, those guys that landed on Utah Beach could have been rerouted to, they landed on Omaha Beach, could have been rerouted to Utah Beach, where there were nearly no casualties. They would have just strolled on up, and they wouldn't have seen the killing that made Saving Private Ryan such a compelling movie.
Right. And, right now, Congress is, I'm going to say, having trouble voting to stop supporting the Saudi war in Yemen. I say that because the rank and file in Congress generally want to, at least among the Democrats, want to stop supporting the Saudi war against Yemen, which is on the verge of basically becoming a genocide.
It's very close, yes.
But the leadership doesn't want that to happen, so there was some kind of bill.
Saudis are special. They're our favorite set of kings.
On gray wolf hunting that the leadership in the U.S. House tied debate on the Saudi war in Yemen to passage of this thing, so that when they passed the gray wolf bill, it wound up saying we aren't going to debate the Saudi war on Yemen and continuing to spend money and all of this other stuff.
I got to say, I don't think this administration or several administrations before actually like the Saudi government.
No, I don't think they do
It's
either.
because it's a power relationship.
Yeah.
The Saudis have a lot of power, and people overestimate how much power the United States has. We sort of need Saudi Arabia as much as it kills us to do this, but we need them to balance out Iran. And then also there's the oil. They got us by the balls. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think they do. For one, I wouldn't live like that, right? I had an opportunity when I was younger to marry an heiress, and our personalities did not mesh as well as they could, is a nice way to say. I think she just had a crappy attitude. And it was probably because she had, it was probably because she was an heiress, frankly. But I won't live like that. I won't live in a relationship where it's just a compromise. And the United States I'm willing to pay a little more for oil to not commit genocide against whatever these folks are that they're trying to kill in Yemen. And
Well, it's both. It's the oil, then it's
And-
also the balance of power against Iran.
Right. Well, Saudi Arabia isn't going to change their relationship with Iran. The Sunnis and the Shiites who've been battling for more than 1,000 years aren't suddenly going to come together against the United States because we're not, supporting the petrodollar anymore. I get what the relationship is, and I know why people say it. I'm just saying, look, this relationship isn't working. The idea that a democracy that fought a war 240 years ago against a king is supporting a new set of kings and apparently assassinating crazy kings. That's just not acceptable. America's better than that. Let's go to the phones real quick. I got Doug in Virginia here. Doug, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, being a veteran, I have some insight onto why veterans are killing themselves.
Well, please tell us.
You guys are touching on parts of it, but you're
Okay.
dancing around it.
Please tell me.
Well, I've had a couple of friends who've killed themselves, and one of them killed himself because he couldn't deal with his home situation after he returned from a deployment, finding out that his loving wife had run off with her boyfriend.
Jody.
And when he returned home from the airport, he was met with a process server handing him divorce papers.
Yep. Jody's always an issue. All right. That's what they
Yeah.
call the other guy in the military. And?
Yeah, exactly. That's one of them. The other thing is, like you guys said, adjusting to civilian life is really difficult. I've gone through it, and it's rough.
How long were you in the
Send
military?
out 2,000 resumes, get 5 replies back, 4 of which say thank you for replying, don't call us, we'll call you, kind of puts a downer on your life. Making you think that, you spent 20 years in the military for nothing.
Yeah, I imagine it's coming out, and you've got the pension. A friend of mine came out with a 20-year pension too, and I can imagine just that whole handing out resume thing is very difficult. I never had to deal with it.
Yeah.
I always
You're lucky.
could find a job, and it was easy.
Yeah, well, I
thank you
can
for the
find
call.
jobs too. I mean, it's just rough when you go through that, and then you think, I've spent 20 years giving my life. I've sacrificed my youth. I've lost a family, or I've lost something else.
Free Talk Live.
Hearing a lot about CBD these days? Yes, but which CBD products can you trust? Which website can provide proper education about CBD along with high-quality products? The answer? CBDonly.com. CBD, or cannabidiol, is one of hundreds of compounds found in the cannabis plant and one that contains a variety of medicinal benefits. Many doctors are starting to recommend CBD to their patients as an alternative or supplement to some pharmaceutical medications. CBD is becoming widely known to relieve pain, inflammation, and anxiety. Unlike THC that is found in the plant, CBD does not have psychoactive effects. In other words, it does not give the effect of being high. All CBDonly.com products are lab tested to ensure the highest quality standards. Shop CBDonly.com for CBD oils, edibles, vapes, skincare, even CBD for your pets. That's CBDonly.com. And to receive 15% off your order on CBDonly.com, use discount code CBDNOW. Remember, shop for CBD products you can trust. Shop CBDonly.com, your CBD superstore.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, November 18th, 2018. Silver is trading at $14.42 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,222 per ounce. Zen is trading at $11, and the average price of Bitcoin is $5,613. Antiwar.com reports in a 151-2 vote, the UN General Assembly has voted to call for the end of the Israeli occupation of the Golan Heights and calls for the territory to be returned to Syria. Israel, as usual, voted against the resolution, but the U.S. has also voted no for the first time ever. The resolution is passed regularly in the UN, though Israel has claimed to have annexed the Golan Heights, and most officials rule out returning it to Syria. The U.S. vote is interesting, as historically the U.S. has always abstained from such votes, and the U.S. has never recognized Israel's annexation of the Golan Heights. Ambassador Nikki Haley said the vote was because they considered the resolution to have an anti-Israel bias. The resolution, however, appears identical to what it has always said. The change seems wholly within the administration. The U.S. vote does not necessarily amount to the U.S. endorsing the annexation of the Golan Heights, though it will almost certainly be used as doing so. Haley suggested this would be the new normal and that the U.S. would not abstain from useless annual votes on Israeli matters. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap and Amazon, at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com. UPI reports Florida's Attorney General is suing the two largest drugstore companies in the United States, CVS and Walgreens, alleging they are contributing to the state and national opioid crisis. In a press release Friday, Pam Bondi said the two companies were being added to an existing lawsuit filed in May against Purdue Pharma, which makes OxyContin, and several other manufacturers. Bondi, who is departing as the state's Attorney General, has been mentioned for the top post in the U.S. Department of Justice, said CVS and Walgreens are overselling painkillers and not being diligent enough with stopping illegal sales. She said, "We will continue to pursue these companies that played a role in creating the opioid crisis. Thousands of Floridians have suffered as a result of the actions of the defendants." Walgreens has 820 stores and CVS has 754 stores in Florida. The complaint noted Walgreens sold 2.2 million tablets to a single Walgreens pharmacy in Tiny Hudson, a roughly 6-month supply for each of its 12,000 residents. CVS is accused of selling more than 700 million opioid doses between 2006 and 2014 in the state. CVS said in a statement, "We are committed to the highest standards of ethics and business practices, including complying with all federal and state laws governing the dispensing of controlled substance prescriptions, and CVS is dedicated to helping reduce prescription drug abuse and diversion. We also have stringent policies, procedures, and tools to help ensure that our pharmacists properly exercise their professional responsibility to evaluate controlled substance prescriptions before filling them." Walgreens declined comment, but its website says, "Help us fight prescription addiction. Together we can stop an epidemic." It says that the pharmacist is your best source of information about drug usage. Zencash has changed their name to Horizon to better represent their transition from a cryptocurrency to a pioneering platform that protects consumer data. They're working towards the day when anyone will be able to build privacy-based applications on the Horizon platform and generate income from them. This will allow Horizon to bring thousands of real-life services to the community, services that provide freedom, utility, and privacy. Learn more at horizon.global and join the Horizon community. HORIZEN.global. Reuters reports rain is on the way for fire-scorched and smoke-choked Northern California, according to forecasters on Sunday, as the search for the dead and missing continued after the state's most destructive wildfires. The wildfires have already claimed at least 76 lives, and the number of people missing jumped on Saturday to 1,276, despite authorities locating hundreds of people who scattered when the Camp Fire tore through the mountain town of Paradise. The National Weather Service's Prediction Center said up to 4 inches of rain is expected to fall from late on Tuesday through Friday in the Sierra foothills, including Paradise, which was all but obliterated by the Camp Fire. Rain is also predicted to fall on San Francisco, helping to clear air filled with unhealthy levels of smoke from the Camp Fire about 175 miles to the north. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
In a deal policymakers have hailed as a decisive step towards combating the rapidly escalating national debt, the United States settled 0.02 millionth of a percent of its debt to China this week with a single autographed photograph of John Hamm. The sale of the glossy signed headshot of the acclaimed actor, which China reportedly accepted for a financial easement of approximately $150 out of America's estimated $1.3 trillion in obligations, concludes a 6-month negotiation between the two parties.
The decision was obviously not an easy one, but without question, this was the right choice for our nation's future.
And in this week's science news, a distant planet is terrified that it might be able to someday support human life. In other news, a live cow is lowered onto the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives. The majority of an office's supplies are used to apply for different jobs, and a lapsed cult member only attends sanctum on major bloodletting holidays.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live's Live Sunday edition. You are welcome to call in and talk here live on Free Talk Live. The number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Want to thank all the callers who called in this evening. And we here on Free Talk Live, we have what they call hard breaks in the business. There's nothing I can do to stretch out the break 1 second, one fraction of a second. It's going to come as it comes, and I try to give everybody as much time as I possibly can, depending on the situation. So, thank you to everyone who has called in. The number is 855-450-3733. Laurel, you had me at equal right amendment. What do you got there?
So this is an article from NPR. It says Virginia could be the state to give women equal rights nationwide.
Okay.
What's happened is 37...
Are we presuming now that women do not have equal rights nationwide? All right.
I mean, that's one of the things that a question is, do we really need this? Don't women already have equal rights?
I was told in the 80s we didn't, which means that, of course, we did. But now maybe today we don't. I tend to be of the opinion that that men are a gender that's not really necessary anymore. No one's running after woolly mammoths or anything like that. As far as a family unit goes, I think you're better off with a dad, but
I think your services are still needed.
All right. Well, reaching tall things, moving heavy objects, opening jars,
smushing spiders,
killing yucky things, the occasional sexual interlude. That's about it. I think you can handle this with like a step stool, a fly swatter, and a marital aid.
So what's happened is 37 states have ratified the ERA. Virginia could become the 38th state, and theoretically, we need 38 states to ratify it, and then it would be a constitutional amendment. The only issue is that the deadline has actually passed. So if Virginia passes
There's a deadline?
There's a deadline. Congress has a deadline for ratifying an amendment to the Constitution.
Not all amendments have deadlines.
This one does, and one of the arguments is if Virginia passes it, then maybe Congress will extend the deadline at that point.
Okay.
But it would still be up to Congress to do that. But this is a good question of, do we really even need this?
So real quick on what it takes to pass an amendment generally. It has to go through both houses
with supermajorities.
Supermajority, so 66%?
I forget if it's 2/3 or 3/4.
And
but
then,
it is a supermajority.
And then 3/4 of the states?
3/5 of the states.
3/5 of the states.
Yes.
So here...
Is it high? No, would be higher than 3, because if it was 3/5 of the states, that would be 30 states, not 38. So it's maybe it is 3/4.
I think it's 3/4.
Yeah,
as I recall from amendments.
Yeah.
That's what my thought was on it.
So
and now the amendment, the Constitution doesn't have a provision as far as how long it would take to pass an amendment.
Correct.
But an amendment could have a provision.
Right. And there was the most recent amendment that was added was one of the original Bill of Rights that just took nearly 200 years to get ratified.
And which one was that?
Had to do with congressional pay raises not taking effect until the next Congress took session.
That makes sense. So then they're less likely to be voting on...
Let's vote ourselves a pay raise.
Right. Voting
retroactive to 3 years ago.
I still think that of anything that a citizen should be voting on, if there was to be a referendum, the first thing that they should have is basically Congress's pay as a referendum. Do you want to give Congress a 1% or a cost of living increase this year?
No.
Right. That would be my answer. They would probably be making $1.50 per year, and either no one would want to do it, or only the most evil of people would want to do it because they'd be insider trading and doing all the things that they do already. So I don't know.
Let me read you the text of the ERA. So there's 3 sections. The first section says, equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on account of sex. Section 2, Congress shall have the power to enforce by
So
appropriate...
that does not say the word women.
It doesn't. It says on account of sex, which I think is very interesting. Section 2, the Congress shall have the power to enforce by appropriate legislation the provisions of this article. And Section 3, the amendment shall take effect 2 years after the date of ratification. But let's get back to that first part of equality of rights under the law shall not be denied, abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex.
And it seems like you have to write laws that are based on sex to some extent. I mean, because the sexes are different, right? Like different things go on.
Or you could associate it and you can say, well, if there's a requirement that you be able to lift a certain amount of weight, then that is it's sexist because there is that difference between the genders.
That's institutional sexism, Laurel.
Exactly.
Now, when I hear equality of rights under the law, what I hear is you can't have a law that says women can't drive automobiles on roads. Only men can shop at Target. Only men can fill in the blank. Women cannot. That would be... If the law doesn't apply to everyone equally, you don't have equality of the law.
Okay.
So, in some states, it's illegal for women to walk around in public without a shirt, but it's completely legal for men to do so.
That's
not equality under the law.
Agreed, but it's not generally something that most women care to a freedom that they care to have, right? Like if suddenly men were allowed to commit suicide in town square all across America, I still wouldn't avail myself of that particular freedom, even though the girls don't get to do it.
It's always interesting when I meet women who do want to be able to take their shirts off in public, and I'm like, really? That's important to you? Okay.
The entire Free the Nipple campaign, as far as I can tell, is spearheaded and run by women.
Yeah.
When there was a law to ban, and in New Hampshire, it's completely legal for women to walk around topless.
Well, I wouldn't say completely. It is not illegal for women to walk around topless.
It's too
There
cold.
have been town ordinances that some of them have been struck down in courts.
As they should
but
be, because
the state law, it's not illegal at the state level.
Right.
There was a bill a couple of years ago to wind up adding that as something illegal, and the chief opponents were female state reps.
There's actually a possibility that if this passes, it could actually benefit men in a lot of situations. For example, that law that was passed in California, where you have to have an equal number of men and women on your board of directors at corporations.
I don't think it was equal number. I think it was just that all boards of directors had to have at least one woman.
But now, perhaps under the ERA, a man could sue and say, "No, I'm the best person for the job, and my gender shouldn't be something that prevents me from getting the job." There could be other situations like that where this is actually going to benefit men.
I'm curious here, and I'm glad you mentioned this, because the state of Massachusetts, or actually the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, not that it makes a difference, they have a provision in their law that political parties have to elect delegates, one man, one woman per district. Mm-hmm. So the Equal Rights Amendment could possibly be used to strike that down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
I know that there was...
one of those women's taking my job as a delegate.
Well, there was discussion that if the Libertarian Party retained ballot access, there's a transgender member of the Libertarian Party that was going to run for delegate in her district.
Leave it to the libertarians to throw a turd in the punch bowl.
But because the birth certificate and ID still says man, she was going to sue to try to run as a woman.
gets very complicated
Yes.
in that situation, this whole gender identity thing. Not that I think that this is just another indication that we probably shouldn't be making assessments based solely on somebody's chromosomal makeup. It just gets complicated. I've heard of people. I guess this is a reality. Is that female candidates tend to get about 3 to 4% more votes than male candidates, and it's probably because somebody out there is willing to vote for somebody because they're a woman as opposed to voting for somebody because they're a man. I have never heard anybody who said, I'm going to vote for that guy because he's the man. But I've heard people say, well, it's about time a woman got in there or whatever. Look at how many women got into Congress.
Maybe they're thinking it but not saying it.
855-450-3733. Could be 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
Your property and your family are precious. Protect them with Blink, like we have. Blink motion-activated HD cameras are wire-free, set up fast, and their batteries last up to 2 years. Blink's live feed option lets you monitor what's happening at home anytime, anywhere, from your smartphone. No contracts, no subscriptions, and Blink works with Alexa. Get your Blink camera system starting at less than $100 by visiting blinkprotect.com/FTL. blinkprotect.com/FTL.
This is William Chambers. Now a retired insurance salesman, Chambers is just one of over 95% of grandfathers who, according to a new report from the Center of Business Intelligence, secured their first and only job by walking right up to the owner of a business and asking for a position right then and there.
I slammed my fist on the desk and said, "I'm your man." He stood right up. He shook my hand and he said, "You come in first thing Monday morning."
According to the report, nearly 36% of grandfathers claim that they found employment by entering a local business with nothing but a nickel in their pockets and a shirt on their backs. 24% saw a fine-looking marquee for a business and said, "Someday my name's going to be on that sign." And 40% of grandfathers said they snuck into the CEO's office and said, "Mr. McKinley, sir, I'm your guy."
It just took gumption. You didn't need some fancy internship. Looking the boss dead in the eye and showing him you were a man. That was your internship.
This is the Onion News Network.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live Sunday edition. Mark with you.
I'm Laurel.
And Darryl.
855-450-3733. Laurel tells us women are finally going to be equal. 855-450-FREE here on Free Talk Live. Darryl, tell me about liberty.menu.
It's a website that you can go to and find Liberty-run businesses, events that might be of interest to libertarians, and digital content, and so much more. It's really something that libertarians have wanted for a long time. Liberty.menu. Listings can be rated and reviewed kind of like on Yelp, and there's also a bit of a social networking aspect where you can connect and share with other users. Use of Liberty.menu is exclusively for individuals who reject the initiation of force and those who agree to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle. Put your voluntarist ideas into action at Liberty.menu. And if you input code FTL, you get a special Free Talk Live listener badge. Liberty.menu.
So, Laurel, this Equal Rights Amendment, which may get ratified finally after decades at this point, it's a possibility. This is more for show, I think, than anything.
Seems like.
But I guess we see here the wording of it. A means that men will have to be treated equal to women now, too, and that's going to be a fascinating thing. And
especially in divorce court and custodies. Yeah, because I know several, I don't want to call them men's rights activists, but men who are advocating for 50-50 shared parenting.
Yeah.
Given all things being equal, the father should have equal custody, but there's some provision, I forget what it is, but they say that, there's some provision to where the states wind up getting some kind of federal monies if the parenting is not split 50-50. So there's some kind of incentive for the judges to not give fathers equal custody.
I don't know anything about that. When I took family law in law school, we went over what's called the tender years doctrine. And the tender years doctrine is the theory that children, especially when they're young, are better off with the mother. Most courts have rejected the tender years doctrine and will not use it, and they say that it's illegal for the courts to use. So most jurisdictions, as a matter of law, won't do that. Now, as a matter of fact, they usually give custody to the mother more often than they do.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, they certainly do. And I think if I was just sitting up there and I'm dealing with two sets of parents, because that shared custody thing just doesn't seem like it would totally work to me. Like, okay, so you're going to get it 4 days a week and 3 days a week and then 3 days a week and 4 days a week.
The kids go back and forth and they have two bedrooms. But in a lot of families, the mother is the primary caregiver. So the courts will give deference to who has been the primary caregiver for the past several years.
And
usually it's the mom.
Sometimes they won't believe the dad if he is the primary caregiver. We have a caller that calls in relatively regularly who claimed to have been the primary caregiver and then just can't see his kids anymore. And I believe these stories because I've just heard so many of them where the guy, any accusation can be made against a man during a divorce hearing, and it seems like it's just believed out of hand. There won't be a day in court. You'll never find out whether this is guilt or innocence or whether it had anything to do with what the judge comes up with. But basically, just the mudslinging starts, and people can't be adults when...
I gotta say, I don't think it's just believed out of hand. I think most of the judges who do family court know that divorces are nasty and people will say anything.
Yeah.
Because they do, and the judges learn that pretty quickly
I'm
if
sure
they didn't
do.
already know.
So without going into details, and this is something, Mark, how long have you known me?
I've got to be going on 10 years.
6.5 years,
okay,
at least. And we've not talked a whole lot about my son or any of the stuff involving
right. I would
custody.
never mention him on the air.
So again, without going into details, and I would say that I'm pretty close to you, Mark.
Yep, I know about this.
when I was going through custody hearing, the ex-wife told the hearing officer, "Oh yeah, Darryl beats me and beat our son." And I said, "No, I didn't." The judge said, "Well, it's somewhere in between these two. So I'm going to defer on the side of caution and give mom majority custody, and dad, you get to see your son 9 hours per month." So,
but you can't do that either.
What's the between these two of I beat her, even though she never called the cops, there were never any trips to the doctors, no police report ever, no doctor report ever. So I either beat her regularly or I didn't. Right. It's somewhere between that.
Yeah, the judge made a bad call. Well, clearly.
Wise King Solomon decided that he was going to split the baby, right? Now, he wasn't really going to cleave the baby in half. He was going to see what the reaction was. But I think that this, for one, the terminology actually means to come in the middle. Splitting the baby really does mean splitting the baby, versus the story of splitting the baby, which was the baby was never going to get split, people. And that's what occurs so often in court is that you've got two equal parties sitting here in front of you making accusations of whatever level they're making. And if one party is unwilling to make accusations about the other party, she's a hooker and smokes crack. Right? Then I'm just throwing that out there as a ridiculous accusation against my wife. Clearly not true. I mean, and one party does say, well, he's a home abuser, right, and sodomizes the kid or whatever they claim. Then, well, I mean, as the judge, what are you supposed to do? Obviously, there's not enough evidence here, but the accusation's been made, and these accusations are terrible. Wife beaters are bad people. Child sodomizers are worse. And what does a judge do with that in that circumstance? And I don't know the answer. Do they just ignore it all?
Well, they're supposed to try to get some evidence, and if they can't get any evidence, quite often they'll order a psychological evaluation or a home study to see what an independent mental health professional can discover.
And as I understand it, these are the things. Now, I've never been through a divorce. I don't know, but I can tell you that of the many men that I have spoken to on this issue, and they're passionate about this issue, and we will be getting calls here shortly about this issue, I can assure you, that have dealt with this, is that they say that there's these guardian ad litem people, these people that are court appointed, and that they are
expensive.
That these organizations are stocked with man haters, essentially. And I don't know. I wouldn't know. But I can tell you I know the one organization locally, and that wouldn't surprise me in the least. And in this town, with its liberal bend on things and the expectation, the general expectation in America that the man is guilty, the men are X number of times more likely to be in prison than women are.
I mean, there's definitely that sentiment out there. I was talking to an acquaintance of mine, and I'd mentioned that men are actually frequently victims of domestic violence as well. And she said, well, yeah, but then they've usually done something to deserve it. Like they brought it on themselves. They must have hit her first. And I'm like, you're just going to presume that. You're just going to presume that almost always he has done something.
That's the assumption. I presented that one time at a Quaker meeting, that they were talking about domestic abuse, and it was a foregone conclusion that these were men beating women. I'm like, but men are just as likely to be abused as women. 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live.
Bacon lovers, we ship free. Try our amazing bacon. No refrigeration required. Proprietary value-added packaging provides 10-year shelf life and protects the leanest, thickest, center-cut, fully cooked bacon in America today. Ready to eat right from the pouch or warm and serve. Savory and delicious. Wholesale price for your everyday use. Order today at readytoeatbacon.com. Readytoeatbacon.com. Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the purest for you and your family. For over 14 years, thousands have depended on Berkey Clean Water. The Berkey guy has you covered at home, work, and on the go. With water filtration systems of every size for every budget. Now GCN listeners receive 10% off ceramic filter systems using code GCN at GoBerkey.com or call 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
My name is Angel Rach. I'm a mother of 2 teenage children, and I fought all the way to the Supreme Court for the right to use the medicine that saved my life. I've been permanently disabled for 10 years, with an inoperable brain tumor, wasting syndrome, and several other serious conditions. For 4 years, I was in a wheelchair, in so much pain, I couldn't even hug my kids. The hardest part was looking in their eyes and seeing how much they were suffering because of my medical condition. The medicine that gave me my life back and gave my kids their mom back was cannabis, also known as medical marijuana. With medical marijuana, I can walk, maintain my weight, and I can be a mom. Without it, my doctors believe that I would die. To learn more about medical marijuana, contact Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or on the web at mpp.org.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. It's the live Sunday edition of Free Talk Live. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind here on Free Talk Live. That's what we do. The number, 855-450-3733. It's Mark with you.
I'm Laurel.
And Darryl.
Also want to tell you about our Discord lines. You go to discord.freetalklive.com. And, well, there's these cool VoIP lines that are associated with the Discord chat. And you can use those and sound really, really good when you call in. It's very clear, and it's a preferable way to do things. So I'd like to recommend it. If you want to take the time, you'll have to download the app on your phone. And if you do it on your laptop, you probably should use a headset. So it's discord.freetalklive.com. And I want to tell you about My Pillow before we go any further. Now, this is
a great pillow.
Yeah, it's a brand, My Pillow, but I do love this pillow. It holds your head and neck in the proper position, and so if you're getting headaches, this could be your pillow. It's a nice place to start. It's a lot cheaper than medical bills and a new mattress. So check that out first. Get a MyPillow for that reason. And the other reason is you can wash a MyPillow. And if you've had your pillow, you can't wash it. Basically, can't wash any other pillow besides the MyPillow. And if you've had your pillow for 5, 10 years, little critters are gonna have to be living in there. It's gross, isn't it?
Yes.
But I hated it, but that's all you could do is you could dump all the feathers out of your down pillow and wash the thing, but then put the same old feathers back in. Are you telling me there's not dust mites living in the feathers? Well, by the way, go look at some YouTube videos on dust mites. They're delightful creatures. 60-day money-back guarantee. You've got nothing to lose. Go to MyPillow.com. Get 2 MyPillow premium pillows for one low price, and you get free shipping on all orders when you use the promo code FTL. Remember, if you don't like your pillow, you have 60 days to return it for a refund of your purchase price. MyPillow.com, promo code FTL. We got a call. Plays calling in on the Discord line. Plays, what's on your mind?
Hi. Yeah, I'm kind of new to this, so what am I doing right now? I don't know.
You're talking on a nationally syndicated radio program on 190 stations, and if you drop a cuss word, I will dump you, and no one will ever hear it. Now you know.
No, sir, I won't drop a cuss word.
All right.
I promise.
What's on your mind, Plays?
Well, nothing really on my mind, but I do have something on my mind.
All right, what is it?
Weed? Is it
not
weed?
Weed. I'm not legal enough to get weed.
Okay.
Sadly, but for the shooting and stuff like that happened in Los Angeles, it's really messed up. So I'm just trying to think about what can I do to stop that? What can the government do to stop that?
Well, what could you do and versus what can the government do, I think, are two different things. The government's been trying to stop these things for a long time. Certainly the government doesn't want people getting shot up all over the place. But, they don't seem to have any particularly good solutions. For instance, if you look at places like New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, some of the lowest crime rates in the nation and some of the easiest gun laws.
Right.
So I don't know what the government can do. The government has many times these shooters. In the case of the one out in California, the shooter was a public school student who had been in the military for 4 years. So the government had possession of this guy for 17 years. And he still goes out and shoots people.
And during the time that he was in the military, what were they teaching him to do? Kill people.
Well, yeah, but they were only the people they wanted to kill. So I'd say that the last people you should trust with this place is the government.
Yeah. Or last thing you should to always always remember if you sell a gun to somebody, you should be sure that they won't use it on the wrong reason. Not to self-defense or to shoot up a concert or something.
I don't think that. Shooters are very unlikely to go into a gun store and say, "What's the best weapon for shooting up a concert?" How is a gun store owner going to know?
Right, but at the same time, let's draw a parallel here. Should car dealerships be held liable when someone robs a bank and then uses that car as the getaway car?
Plays?
If you put it like that, yeah, it kind of does make sense.
Yeah.
But for the reason we're talking about firearms, this is one of the most deaths happening in the United States at the moment.
Sure. How about I give you this statistic? A concealed carry permit holder. You're familiar with what that is, right?
Yeah, open carry and concealed carry.
No. Concealed carry is somebody who has a license from the government to put a gun in their pocket, basically. Concealed carry permit holders are so cops are 1/20th as likely to commit a crime as the regular citizen, and concealed carry permit holders are 1/10 as likely to commit a crime as a cop. You're talking about an extraordinarily law-abiding group of people. And if you do you want to limit the number of those people that exist? It seems like you should they deserve some extra special treatment, not some kind of restriction, right?
Yeah, right.
And Plays, I want to correct you on something you said. You said that guns were the number one cause of death in the United States. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes. I don't know
that is completely incorrect.
It's probably cigarettes.
Number one cause of death is heart disease. Number 2 is cancer. Number 3 are accidents, unintentional injuries.
And as I understand it, a hammer is more likely to kill you, to be used as a murder weapon than an AR-15.
Chronic lower respiratory disease is number 4. Stroke is number 5.
I don't need
Alzheimer's,
the whole list.
Just giving top 10.
Okay.
Diabetes is 7. Influenza and pneumonia, number 8. Kidney disease, number 10 is suicide. So
oftentimes guns will be used in suicides, and as I understand it, a gun is 7 times more likely to be used as suicide as it is in a homicide. Don't quote me on that one. I'd have to look that up.
But again, that's self-inflicted. He's talking about someone shooting someone else. So that is not even in the top 10.
The last thing I want is California's crime rate exported to my state.
Yeah.
I don't want their gun laws or their crime rate. Thanks for the call, Blaze. Really appreciate it. Good job.
All right.
855-450-3733.
And it's nearly 1 in 4 people, the heart disease. 1 in 4.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's the things you eat, things you put in your mouth. Cigarettes, cheeseburgers. These are the things that are going to get you.
Yeah, so they list here most common among men, people who smoke, people who are overweight, people with a family history of heart disease or heart attack, and those over the age of 55.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm not surprised. But people are led to the conclusion that they're going to die in some kind of mass shooting. You're much more likely to be shot than you are to die in a mass shooting. So it'll be some crime, probably committed by somebody in your house.
You're also probably more likely to be attacked by bears.
Yeah. Bears are rough. Obviously, it doesn't happen too often.
Yeah.
So the news would love you to think that. Let's go to Sarah calling in from New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, I just want to mention that we have 8 speeding vans here in New Mexico, but they'll always be operating
Speeding van?
no matter what.
Like a van that catches people speeding? Go ahead.
Yeah, mobile speeding units. Because that city, our city right next door, the Redflex owns it, and then the Redflex collects the fines.
Uh-huh.
And Redflex, even if they only get half the funds, they get tons of money from Georgia, Arizona, Illinois. Texas.
Working for the government is lucrative.
Well, I don't think it's. Are they? They're private. They're private entities. But I guess they're
private entities given contracts by local governments.
Yeah, they get a monopoly contract by the local policing.
So it's not like some company just decides to put up these cameras and the government looks the other way.
Yeah,
they're given the authority by the government to do this.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah, by cities.
Yes, that's correct.
But the thing is, the cities.
Yes, city governments.
Gotta let you go. Thanks for the call. Free Talk Live.
The Liberty Dollar was so successful that the United States government had to take it down, and its founder, Bernard von Nothaus. Now Bernard's son Extra has launched Liberty Dollar 2. LD2 is a cryptocurrency, but each token is backed by the same gorgeous fine silver rounds that Liberty Dollar has always been known for. Your silver is secured in an audited vault and can be redeemed at any time. There's only a few thousand LD2 Zero tokens left in the crowd sale at ld2coin.io. Get yours. ld2coin.io.
Do you operate a retail business and are looking for a solution for point-of-sale cryptocurrency acceptance? It's never been easier thanks to AnyPay.global. There's no paperwork or approval process to open an account. If you already have a tablet at your cash register, you're almost done. Just sign up at AnyPay.global. Drop your personal crypto wallet addresses in our setup page, and then load our app. That's it. You're accepting cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Dash at your store. Get started now at AnyPay.global. That's AnyPay.global.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
In these uncertain times, it makes sense to have a sustainable backup method to cook food and boil water. If your current plan includes using a fuel-burning stove or cooking over an open fire, then there's a much better way. The Minuteman Rocket Stove is a biomass-burning cooking stove that only requires small quantities of sticks and twigs for fuel. The Minuteman Stove is easy to use, smokeless, portable, powerful, and sustainable. For the finest in survival cooking stoves and fire starters made right here in the USA, go to MinutemanStove.com. That's MinutemanStove.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live's Live Sunday edition. It's Mark with you.
I'm Laurel.
And Darryl.
You can call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. We've been across the board tonight, as usual, from being able to film while you're, video record while you're voting, to $6 trillion spent on the wars and the new millennia here. Veteran suicide, the Equal Rights Amendment being revived, family court stuff, gun violence. Whatever you want to talk about is open season. Probably shouldn't talk about that regarding gun violence here on Free Talk Live. So let's go to the phones. We've got Libertarian Banker on the Discord lines. Libertarian Banker, what's on your mind?
Hey, guys. I'm hoping you can hear me here on the
good.
Discord. Awesome. Hey, I was calling about blockchain technology, kind of an update.
An update?
Oh, we lost you.
Yeah, everything was going so well, too. Well, it's probably a bad sell.
If only Discord were run on a blockchain. I'm joking. There are some people that they think, oh, you just throw anything on a blockchain.
On a blockchain. What we need is an immutable ledger here. That'll fix everything.
And an ICO, maybe.
Yeah, well, we'll see if we can. We'll see if we can get him back in the next segment and talk to him about whatever's on his mind. The gentleman who called in plays on Discord there was bringing up the gun issue, and it's easy to run to banning guns as a solution to, whatever problem out there. But I think that it's worth pointing out that in order to ban guns, you must give the power to men with guns to go after people with guns. And it's somewhat dichotomous, right? Like those people are police. And I'm not saying that the police are going to... There are plenty of countries out there where we can look and see how much better things are. And the answer is not much. They're still killing people in Great Britain. They've got a relatively small island where they can actually control the guns.
They hate that, by the way, when Americans say it's a small island.
Yeah. Okay, it's a big island?
It's a big island.
It's an island.
At the very least, they don't have 5,000 miles of border, which is about right. That's about land border for the United States. I could be wrong. I don't think there's going to be a lot of smuggling from Canada to the United States, but I mean, there's at this point, estimates are as high as there's 2 guns per human being in the United States already. How are you going to get rid of that?
Exactly. Most of the murders are committed with guns that are not lawfully owned or not lawfully possessed by the person using them at the time.
Right.
So it's not lawful gun owners that are the problem.
Right.
And the
Lawful
guns are already out there.
Lawful gun owners are like vanishingly unlikely to commit a crime.
So you mentioned, men with guns, police would go around confiscating guns if gun confiscation became a thing. And there was the story from almost 2 weeks ago now out of Maryland that I don't recall having heard discussed on Free Talk Live. 2 Anne Arundel County police officers serving one of Maryland's new red flag law protective orders to remove guns from a house killed a Ferndale man after he refused to give up his guns and, quote, a struggle ensued.
Yeah.
Now, I've heard some people say, oh, that means he shot at the cops. Not necessarily. It could just be that, they tried to arrest him and he jerked away and then they dogpiled on top of him. But as the old saying goes, dead men tell no tales. So we don't know exactly what happened here other than Sergeant Jacqueline Davis saying a fight ensued over the gun. And then ... he wound up getting shot.
Yeah, well, I mean, if a gun is in play, they have full, legal recourse to just, shoot you. I don't
Doesn't
know why
even say that he had the gun in his hand. Just they went to confiscate guns.
There's a struggle over the gun, though. So the struggle was over the gun?
It could just be they were fighting about this thing.
Okay.
And then the wording is, oh, yeah, they were fighting over the gun. Not that they were fighting with the gun in the midst of the fight.
It was the subject of the dispute.
The dead man can't say exactly what happened.
Sure, he doesn't get his day in court. I guess that basically it's these red flag laws, which are frightening, which is basically if somebody says you might be a danger to yourself or others. And remember, we're living in a world where both Republicans and Democrats are saying we need to keep guns out of the hands of the mentally ill. And now, I'm not saying that I want to go hand every mentally ill person in America a gun, but I am saying that in the former Soviet Union, the first thing they would do to political dissidents whom they sent off to the gulag is call them mentally ill first. That calling somebody mentally ill is a relatively easy way, because how do you dispute it? Well, I'm not crazy. I mean, if both of you said that I'm crazy right now, you decided I was crazy, how would I prove I'm not? It's mental illness is a pretty tenuous thing, and some people can become frustrated. Being frustrated about being called crazy is very similar to crazy. Crazy people, when told they're crazy, will react very similarly to sane people when they're told they're crazy.
Right, and there's something now, I don't want to say now because it's been around for several years, called oppositional defiant disorder. That basically, if you question authority, you could be given this label.
Oh, man, then I'm crazy.
Right. Opposition defiance disorder is something that they've trotted out in the past. And yeah, I mean, when basically you have the government deciding what a mental illness is and what a mental illness isn't, they're certainly going to claim that anybody who doesn't listen to them is obviously nuts.
Here's one of the theories that I have for maybe something that we could do about this is to make gun owners a self-policing organization. Much as attorneys are self-policing, we turn each other in, and then your license would be taken away by other attorneys in an internal procedure. And then you can fight it in the courts, but it would be within the state bar that it would be taken away. So perhaps there could be something similar for gun owners where it is other gun owners who would have a hearing to take away your license.
I like that until I start thinking about the Black Panthers. One of the reasons that we have as many gun laws in this country as we do is somewhere around the late 60s, the organization known as the Black Panthers, which is a frightening organization to many Americans, I can assure you.
Especially Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
He didn't like them.
No. Basically, they began open carrying guns at polling locations. And that's legal in New Hampshire. I could do that right now. Well, I couldn't do that. Daryl could do that right now. And just stand in front of a polling location with a gun. I don't know why it would take time to do that, but they were ostensibly trying to make sure that black people were allowed to vote.
I couldn't do that at my polling location because my polling location is at a school.
Okay. That does complicate things.
Yes.
However, I have voted in Keene, New Hampshire.
There is a polling location that is the police station. I could do it there.
This is bizarre. So I would be concerned if I was a black concealed carry permit holder that perhaps the concealed carry permit holders, which tend to be rather white, might not be interested in protecting my rights. And I would present to you Philando Castile, a man who was killed last year in Minneapolis by an Asian police officer. And the NRA having the opportunity to protect a concealed carry permit holder, and I don't know if he was a member of the NRA or not, I can't say that, but he was a legal gun owner who had just told a police officer that he had a gun on him because he's a legal gun owner, was shot and killed while following the instructions to get his wallet.
Yes.
I heard
Get
the
your
audio.
wallet, keep your hands where I can see them, and don't put your hand anywhere near the firearm.
So
that is right by the pocket that your wallet is in.
Well, he didn't know where the firearm was, and there was no telling where it was in the vehicle. So the police officer was basically telling him to get his wallet, but don't do anything.
The police officer didn't tell him that. He didn't tell. Philando Castile was going to get his ID, and the police officer said, "Don't reach for it."
Yes.
And he said, "I'm not." And then the policeman shot him. It was
quick.
It was heartbreaking to listen to the whole thing because it just sounded to me like a misunderstanding that cost somebody his life, and the policeman was too jumpy.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
Then, where was it that the security guy wound up stopping a gunman?
Black security guy.
Cops show up, shoot the security guy.
Yep.
Oops.
So I'm not sure we're quite ready for that. I like the idea if I thought that America was ready for it. I don't know if they are. The number, 855-450-3733. Your thoughts are welcome. 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live.
Hello, this is Dr. Bill Deagle, MD of NutriMedical.com, announcing the breakthrough Red Deer Velvet DR. It delivers the protected building blocks of all organs and tissues, allowing your own stem cells as architects and engineers to regenerate you. Not since fetal life, when aging does not occur, has such an amazing NutriMed been available to help heal you and regenerate you. Anti-aging requires that you correct mineral, activated nutraceutical, and jump the gene defects and poor diet you have to deliver the cellular tools for regeneration. You must remove old damaged cells and replace them with your young healthy cells to wind the biological clock to a younger you. Order your Red Deer Velvet DR now at NutriMedical.com 24/7 or 888-212-8871. That's NutriMedical, N-U-T-R-I, medical, MEDICAL.com, or call our order line 888-212-8871.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, November 18th, 2018. Silver is trading at $14.42 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,222 per ounce. Zen is trading at $11, and the average price of Bitcoin is $5,613. Antiwar.com reports in a 151-2 vote, the UN General Assembly has voted to call for the end of the Israeli occupation of the Golan Heights and calls for the territory to be returned to Syria. Israel, as usual, voted against the resolution, but the U.S. has also voted no for the first time ever. The resolution is passed regularly in the UN, though Israel has claimed to have annexed the Golan Heights, and most officials rule out returning it to Syria. The U.S. vote is interesting, as historically the U.S. has always abstained from such votes, and the U.S. has never recognized Israel's annexation of the Golan Heights. Ambassador Nikki Haley said the vote was because they considered the resolution to have an anti-Israel bias. The resolution, however, appears identical to what it has always said. The change seems wholly within the administration. The U.S. vote does not necessarily amount to the U.S. endorsing the annexation of the Golan Heights, though it will almost certainly be used as doing so. Haley suggested this would be the new normal and that the U.S. would not abstain from useless annual votes on Israeli matters. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap and Amazon, at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com. UPI reports Florida's Attorney General is suing the 2 largest drugstore companies in the United States, CVS and Walgreens, alleging they are contributing to the state and national opioid crisis. In a press release Friday, Pam Bondi said the 2 companies were being added to an existing lawsuit filed in May against Purdue Pharma, which makes OxyContin, and several other manufacturers. Bondi, who is departing as the state's Attorney General, has been mentioned for the top post in the U.S. Department of Justice, said CVS and Walgreens are overselling painkillers and not being diligent enough with stopping illegal sales. She said, "We will continue to pursue these companies that played a role in creating the opioid crisis. Thousands of Floridians have suffered as a result of the actions of the defendants." Walgreens has 820 stores and CVS has 754 stores in Florida. The complaint noted Walgreens sold 2.2 million tablets to a single Walgreens pharmacy and Tiny Hudson, a roughly 6-month supply for each of its 12,000 residents. CVS is accused of selling more than 700 million opioid doses between 2006 and 2014 in the state. CVS said in a statement, "We are committed to the highest standards of ethics and business practices, including complying with all federal and state laws governing the dispensing of controlled substance prescriptions, and CVS is dedicated to helping reduce prescription drug abuse and diversion. We also have stringent policies, procedures, and tools to help ensure that our pharmacists properly exercise their professional responsibility to evaluate controlled substance prescriptions before filling them." Walgreens declined comment, but its website says, "Help us fight prescription addiction. Together we can stop an epidemic." It says that the pharmacist is your best source of information about drug usage. Zencash has changed their name to Horizon to better represent their transition from a cryptocurrency to a pioneering platform that protects consumer data. They're working towards the day when anyone will be able to build privacy-based applications on the Horizon platform and generate income from them. This will allow Horizon to bring thousands of real-life services to the community, services that provide freedom, utility, and privacy. Learn more at horizon.global and join the Horizon community. HORIZEN.global. Reuters reports rain is on the way for fire-scorched and smoke-choked Northern California, according to forecasters on Sunday, as the search for the dead and missing continued after the state's most destructive wildfires. The wildfires have already claimed at least 76 lives, and the number of people missing jumped on Saturday to 1,276, despite authorities locating hundreds of people who scattered when the Camp Fire tore through the mountain town of Paradise. The National Weather Service's Prediction Center said up to 4 inches of rain is expected to fall from late on Tuesday through Friday in the Sierra foothills, including Paradise, which was all but obliterated by the Camp Fire. Rain is also predicted to fall on San Francisco, helping to clear air filled with unhealthy levels of smoke from the Camp Fire about 175 miles to the north. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review. According to friends, colleagues, and complete strangers, anxiety-ridden man Timothy Gibula is rightly ashamed of every single thing he does, with mere acquaintances saying they're constantly judging Gibula at every moment, just as he suspects.
Tim's the kind of guy who's forever second-guessing his behavior, as if everyone's constantly scrutinizing him, and he's completely correct. We all are.
We can spend entire afternoons picking apart Tim's taste in clothing and his receding hairline. It's honestly all we do when he's not around.
Anytime he awkwardly says excuse me when he's waiting in line for milk or sugar, anytime he fails to make eye contact with me when he asks me for the Wi-Fi password, not only do I notice these things, but I use them to judge him fundamentally as a human being.
A 3-alarm fire that tore through a family home in Newark, Delaware early Saturday morning tragically claimed a half sleeve of Oreo cookies that were trapped inside a cupboard. At the time of the blaze, the residence was occupied by Mike and Sheila Donlan, their 3 young children, and 6 delicious chocolate sandwich cookies, all half dozen of which perished in the intense heat and towering flames.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live Sunday edition. You can call in, talk freely, live here on the radio. I don't know how many radio stations we're on exactly tonight, but we've got more than 190 affiliates here on Free Talk Live, and that's a lot of people that you could be talking to. You get off Facebook for just a minute. Stop chit-chatting with a dozen people trying to convince them of something. Come on, Free Talk Live. The number's 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. It is Mark with you.
I'm Laurel.
And Darryl.
It's 855-450-3733. Let's go to Libertarian Banker. Had him on the line here previously. Had a technical issue. See if we can get him back. Libertarian Banker, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, I always hate the technology stuff. So I'm not sure where I left off, but I'll start from the beginning.
Please do that.
So yeah, I was calling about a sort of an update, kind of a continuing story to another story I called about several weeks ago. And this is about blockchain technology. So the blockchain, for those who don't know, it's a ledger, a public ledger of all the transactions that happen with a specific asset, whatever it is.
Right. So blockchain is sort of the underlying technology to Bitcoin. Most people have heard of it at this point, and if not, you're going to need to figure this out because blockchain's here to stay.
Exactly, and that's kind of why I was calling. There's a company recently I read an article about a company that does loan default servicing, and what that is if you don't pay your mortgage, there's a company that the bank hires a company to basically process the foreclosure on your home. There's a ton of timelines that have to be met. There's a ton of paperwork that has to be done, a ton of compliance that has to happen in that process. And what this company is doing is actually putting all of the transactions and all the communication with that defaulting borrower on a blockchain, so that if they ever have to go to court or provide evidence of communicating with them at a specific time and a specific way, all of it is put
Right
onto
there.
the blockchain.
Yeah, right. The blockchain is an immutable ledger, so therefore it is true whatever they put on it. And this was an issue the last go around with people having this huge rash of foreclosures. Is that in many cases banks were, if not doing it incorrectly, which is probably true, were at the very least being accused of not doing it correctly. This will add evidence to whomever's claim, one way or the other, that it's been done correctly or incorrectly. And
unless whoever's running this thing winds up pulling an Ethereum and just undoing stuff.
At that point, you would see that it was done, though. I mean, you would know that occurred.
You would know that. Hopefully, you would know.
Yes, you would know. So
yeah, so I mean, so you can see like there are settlement companies and title companies that help with real estate transactions that are really worried about this technology because I mean it pretty much can take their role and charge you nothing for it or pennies or however much it costs.
That's what the blockchain can do. That's what this technology can do is it can make many careers pointless. Now, that's bad if you are in that career and you don't want to look for a new career. It's good if you're in a modern society and you want to see more modernization, and people are going to have to. I mean, people will look for new jobs. The candlestick makers found things to do in a world with light bulbs. And
I was going to say, how many wagon makers wound up going out of jobs because Henry Ford, wound up revolutionizing the way automobiles were done.
Right. It's a good thing for an economy to have that happen. I would also say, and what I thought you were going to say, Libertarian Banker, is that the last mortgage crisis occurred in many cases because they were selling these assets, these mortgage-backed securities, and they didn't know what was in these securities. They didn't know whether they were good, bad, or indifferent. And they would be bundled, rebundled, and bundled again. And blockchain technology would allow you to track individual houses, and thus these mortgage-backed securities, you would know what kind of asset is within this mortgage-backed security.
One of the problem with those mortgage-backed security things, and one of the reasons that a lot of people were crying foul about their mortgages, is the mortgage was being sold from the company that somebody took the loan from to somebody else. Wait a second, you just transferred the debt without my approval? How is that legal? Well, turns out Congress said you can do it.
Well, and Mark, that's an amazing point. I never even thought about that possibility that this could actually travel with the loan file throughout the process, and there's this ledger that nobody can deny what happened. That's absolutely incredible. Never even thought about that.
I am a super genius.
One other thing I wanted to mention was that, and this is kind of in line with the last thing I talked about, was the blockchain is really good at making money transfers, very efficient. And JP Morgan Chase has been sort of quietly rolling out a product that allows banks to transfer between each other, internationally with little to no cost. And this actually, they have 75 banks that have signed up for this service, and none of them are in the United States. All of them are in the Americas and East Asia and that kind of thing. And it's probably because of regulation, that kind of thing. But that's amazing to have 75 international banks signed up for this service that JP Morgan Chase is offering. So
I don't have the headline sitting here in front of me, but I saw it today go by. I think it was on Cointelegraph. I'm not entirely sure. That the Russian head of banks or whatever was claiming that within the next 5 years, blockchain technology will be dominant in the banking industry. And this is the head of banks in Russia. I suspect he might know what's going on over there. If it catches on in other places, the United States won't have any choice but to catch up. And this is the thing, is that if you believe that for whatever reason the Chinese government or the United States government or some government somewhere doesn't want to get on board with blockchain or cryptocurrency technology, that's all well and good. They probably don't. But they also don't want to be left behind. And this is how technology adoption tends to work, not because they want the technology, but because they feel they have to adopt the technology.
Exactly. And I mean, it's a game changer. I mean, banks for so long have been squeezed on the interest rate margin because rates have been so low, that the only way to really squeeze more profit out of their company is to lower costs. And what a great way to do it, a very efficient way to do it with blockchain. I mean, you don't have to hire an entire backroom staff of people to comply or to send this from here to there to verify this, verify that, when you could have a series of computers do it. So it's going to revolutionize money transferring and make it even cheaper.
Yep. And people will point out that there's an energy offset to this efficiency when it comes to having fewer employees. But you have to look at also what's the cost of banking in the world. Like all those buildings, all those lights that are on in the buildings, all the computers, all the people driving to and from work to do, and the people driving to and from the bank to do business, and the energy consumption that goes into money transfer in the real world. If cryptocurrency can offset that in some way, it'll still offset it at a fraction of the energy output of what we have today in banking, is my estimation. I haven't done some kind of study.
Who can argue with having money transfer instantaneously? I mean, how annoying is it to have to, if you have two bank accounts, different banks have to transfer money and wait a couple days?
It takes a week for me to transfer money to my health savings account from my regular bank account. It's ridiculous.
Exactly. So, I mean, this technology could solve it and make it cheaper. So it's quicker and cheaper. I mean, it's hard to argue.
Also, it's worth pointing out that the cryptocurrency and blockchain technology has driven forward computing technology at a faster rate than it would have up to this point. So that's worth something. I don't know how much, but it's worth something. So there you go. Exactly. Thanks for the call, Libertarian Baker.
Thank you, guys.
855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE here on Free Talk Live, or you can use the Discord line like Libertarian Banker did at discord.freetalklive.com. You heard that audio quality? It's great. It's discord.freetalklive.com.
From the first letter of Captain Mark. History is full of flowery documents claiming to limit the power of the crown, but these poetic social contracts have been impotent to prevent the predation. Limited government is a lie they use to keep us submissive. The crown cannot be trusted to abide by its founding charters, nor its treaties, nor even its own rules. The essence of the crown is centralized violence, and I've had enough. That's why I raised my black banner. I am no revolutionary. My aim is not to reset the cycle of violence, but to break it. My aim is an evolved society, invisible to the crown. Not a new hierarchy, but decentralized networks with no central figure for the crown to target. If you want your servile life, keep it, but we will not submit to the crown's agenda. And when you are ready to stop being its beast of burden, ready for adventure and opportunity, join us at pirateswithoutborders.com.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
Your property and your family are precious. Protect them with Blink, like we have. Blink motion-activated HD cameras are wire-free, set up fast, and their batteries last up to 2 years. Blink's live feed option lets you monitor what's happening at home anytime, anywhere, from your smartphone. No contracts, no subscriptions, and Blink works with Alexa. Get your Blink camera system starting at less than $100 by visiting blinkprotect.com/FTL. blinkprotect.com/FTL.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. It's Mark with you.
I'm Laurel.
And Darryl.
You can call in, talk about what's on your mind here on this live Sunday night edition of Free Talk Live. Your property and your family are precious. Protect them with Blink, like I have. Blink's motion-activated HD cameras are wire-free, set up very quickly. Their batteries last up to 2 years, and Blink's live feed option lets you monitor what's happening at your home anytime from anywhere. Well, anywhere that you have a signal from your smartphone. No contracts, no subscriptions, and Blink works with Alexa.
Alexa, check my cameras.
Just that fast. Get your camera system starting at less than $100. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. These are great. I've got them in my home. I couldn't be happier with them. blinkprotect.com/FTL. That's blinkprotect.com/FTL. Let's go to, oh my, Turd Ferguson calling in on the Discord lines. Mr. Ferguson, what's on your mind?
Yes, how's it going, guys?
All's well.
Oh, fantastic to hear. Well, I was on the Discord chat. Well, let me start out with this before I get into my regular thing. So in the Discord chat, it was actually Baraka66 that just posted a video of a young lady whose Twitch handle, I guess, is Amaranth, and she is half naked playing Pokemon Go, it looks like.
That is always compelling content.
Well, it has almost 3,000 current viewers, and you guys on Twitch have 10 viewers.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Okay.
I'm not taking off my
This
shirt.
is a
We're
busty
also
woman.
on a bunch of radio stations, and this Amaranth,
right?
Not on any radio stations.
We don't attempt to dominate Twitch. It's just an opportunity for people who
Twitch
want
is not our primary outlet.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you could have that many viewers. That I was just thinking. I mean, Heather Mullins hasn't been on the show in a couple months, but the Twitch viewers seem to have gone down a little bit since she left the show. Maybe if you got her on the show again, half naked on the Twitch feed, we could increase the viewership and libertarianism would win countrywide.
I'm for this, Turd. Go ahead and set this up, and Free Talk Live will attempt to expedite it in whatever way you want. Get a hold of Heather. I'm sure she pops into the Discord chat now and then. Set it all up. Appreciate the call.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Thanks for the call. 855-450-3733.
Or here's
best
a
way to
better
handle
idea.
this is always, that's a great idea. You do it.
Right. What Turd could do, because we don't claim copyright over the content here, he could get as many half-naked chicks as he wants, flash them up on camera, and just stream our show. And if he wants to get 500 million viewers doing it, I don't think he will, but go ahead.
I think it's the reality is that you will get a lot of viewers if this is just a woman in her drawers playing a video game, right? Like, I'm going to be later doing something similar, although it's not going to be nearly as interesting because I am not female and attractive and in my 20s. So there you go. 855-450-3733. Let's go to David calling in from New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, that's all Bukkake, New Mexico.
I got you.
And speaking of that, you should broadcast on Chatterbait. That way you could get tipped, and you could you could have sex on camera while you're doing the show, or you could get a couple hot chicks to have sex on camera.
I guess I'm happy I don't know. I've never heard of this platform.
Chatterbait.
Okay,
yeah, check it out.
Never heard of it, and also, it's not what we do. We are a broadcast radio show that's on actual broadcast radio stations.
Yeah, well, you could simultaneously. It's called simulcast. You could simulcast on Chatterbait, and you could make all kinds of tip money if you get some hot chicks and stuff, and they can have sex on camera and stuff. Anyway, now
how about you just rebroadcast our show?
Nah, I'm too busy. I got to wash my hair and stuff.
Please, what did you call about, David?
Well, and first of all, before I get started, just let me say it's always it's kind of I think it's unfair communication. I'll even call it abusive communication. I know why you do it on your radio show because it tucks in all the corners all neat and stuff. But when the person who bothers to take their time to call in and speak with you doesn't know at what point their conversation is going to end, they don't know they don't know what they're going to get in and what they're not and stuff like that. And that's really irritating. And it would be nice if the radio format around the world would change and stop doing that abusive communication style. But I was just surfing the channels after I intentionally stopped listening to you guys about 3 weeks or so ago. I just now, like a hour ago, was flipping the channels trying to find some nice music for my Sunday evening. And one of the channels I flipped to, one of the radio stations on TuneIn, Free Talk Live is on it, and so I leave it on for a few minutes, and coincidentally, I hear a reference to me when you were talking about the equal rights and family court and stuff like that, and so equal rights. Yeah, I think it's about time that women get equal rights because I'm sick of them having more rights than men. So. And I know you went into that, Mark. Thank you. I appreciate that men have far, far fewer rights than women in many different areas of life, especially in the courts when it's over family stuff. What
other areas is it besides family law? Because family law seems like a glaring example.
Yeah, well, here's another good example. I mean, you guys are fans of legalized prostitution. One of the biggest things in your life, if you go to even back to like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, is sex. And men's sex lives is totally controlled by women, and I think it's by design. I think it's an abusive behavior that
Isn't
half the
that kind of like
population is women.
The institutional sexism claim, though? I mean, the law, we're just talking about the law here. I mean, if the law should recognize people equally and not pay attention to their gender based on whatever the claims might be. The fact that you and I and probably most guys feel that it's that women can acquire sex more easily than we can. I'm not sure that that's going to fall into.
Let me stop you for a second. Let me quote my ex, and I'll just use her first name, Nicole, along with her stripper names, Allison, Priscilla, and Michelle. She picking up men on the topic of picking up men. Quote: "It's like picking up milk. It's like going to the store for milk. You can get it any time that you want to.
Yes.
And then there's a difference between male sex drives and female sex drives in the way that they cycle. And so there, anyway, you can't rape them, and you can't. So, and men are ready all of the time. Women are ready at less than all of the time, and it's designed that way on purpose. But women have no right to tell me and another woman who wants to take my money to have sex. You have no right to tell us we can't, except that you want to control the supply of sex, and that's not what I called about. That you asked for another example, and so I gave it to you, a very important example. And I know that you're already fans of or most of your conversations on the subject indicate that you're fans of legalized prostitution. That that the government has no business in it. And I agree. Now,
David, thank you for the call. Please call in tomorrow with the rest. Thank you for the call. 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live.
Hear that? That's the sound of a house being trashed while a gang of thieves ransack the place. And what they don't steal will be destroyed.
This year, resolve not to be the next victim of a break-in. Go to faketv.com and discover a device that creates the illusion someone inside is watching TV, even when you're miles away. Security is a mindset, and Fake TV should be part of your security solution. Be vigilant, but not fearful. faketv.com.
The United States of Empire is a book that claims the United States is the empire of the world. George Washington had warned us against foreign wars. The United States of Empire shows that World Wars I and II left England broken. Its former colony, the U.S., had to save the empire. Was there ever a vote? Who do we fight for? The deep state began with World War I. The United States of Empire by James Dunn. Available at Amazon Books.
If you're looking for work, the person you are applying to may be even more nervous than you are. And the way things are now, your references have never been more important. Here are 3 tips. First, know that employers are checking. Every hire is under the microscope these days. Second, they won't just be checking references you provide. Figure that all of your ex-employers will get a call and be asked, would you hire him or her again? Third, assume you will be Googled. So before you apply, remove all those party animal photos from your Facebook page. Even if you're not in the job market, effective communication skills have never been more important, with money and attention so scarce now. For more tips for job seekers and getting better results in all your day-to-day communication, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live.
Is everything that you've spoken of about the government tonight has been in a negative connotation.
What is there to like about the federal government?
Tell me what's great about the United States federal government.
Protection. They protect us.
They've got a military that's 9 times the next closest military. That's not protection. I'm forced to pay for it.
The terrorists will tell you the reason why they're engaging in terrorist activities, if they are inside the United States, is because of what the U.S. government's military is doing. They're putting us in greater danger through their actions, sir.
When is the last time that you've watched someone else stab someone blatantly or blown themselves up?
That has nothing to do with the federal government. government.
An armed populace is what keeps a particular area safe, not soldiers.
Yeah, right.
Soldiers are all over the place in Venezuela.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Live Sunday edition. You can tune into the cams at cam.freetalklive.com. You can see our version of a cam show. There you go.
It's currently Jazzy that's on the cam.
Oh, well. Jackie did
She's
wander
completely naked.
in a sports bra.
She is not completely naked.
It's Jazzy is completely naked.
No, she's got a coat of fur.
I have a coat of fur on too. If I took off my clothing and only had my coat of fur, people would call me naked.
You don't have a coat of fur, sir.
Well, I have hair on my body like a mammal.
Don't make him prove it.
Yes, please don't prove it.
Let's go to the phones. Let's just avoid all of this and go to the phones.
Let's do that.
Greg in New York, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hey. I was reading an article today about Mexico and how in Mexico there's like 200,000 people disappeared and 37,000 people killed in this sort of gang
cartel wars. Yeah,
people are being kidnapped, and then their parents search for them, and they're not sure if they're dead or alive or what.
Right.
Until sometimes they prefer to find them dead than to be uncertain, and it's really pretty terrible. And what I want to ask is sort of how do you see without a government? How do you see things? What do you think are the dynamics that lead to that? Because I think it's not so simple as you don't have a government and all of a sudden, no one's attacking anyone. I think these gangs fund themselves with drug money, and I'm curious as to what dynamics lead to the gangs, whether they're MS-13 or Sinaloa or these guys to sort of perpetrate all these things. Like, why are they doing it? And is it always to shut people up, or is it for other reasons? And how do you stop it as an anarchist society?
Okay, well, first off, I am no anarchist, and I will never use that term because I believe that historically it is destroyed. It doesn't. It's inaccurate. It means no ruler, and a person cannot be without a ruler. They must self-rule. So that would be an auto-archist if you were going to use that term. I am a libertarian. What I believe is two things. First off, when an organization claims a monopoly on rule over the larger the area, the more corrupt the monopoly will be. And two, that when allowed, that innovation flourishes with human freedom. So those are the two things I believe. How would you're asking me to decide how would a government track the deaths of young people? I really don't know. I can't address that, and it doesn't fit into my understanding of the paradigm of liberty.
And this is a variant of one of the myriad of questions that libertarians often get of, in this society where humans have a lot more freedom and things aren't centrally planned, tell me exactly how everything would work.
And it's a fair question. People want to know the answer to things. All I'm saying here is that the reality that we need to be very, very clear of what citizenship is these days. And it's a modern form of serfdom, as opposed to me being put on the defensive of, how would a liberty society handle this? I have no clue how they would handle it.
I just want to say I'm not asking how a government would track missing people.
Yep.
I'm basically saying here's a society where, to some extent, even the smaller governments or groups like police is involved with turning people over to Sinaloa cartel.
Yep.
Similarly, how in the Syrian civil war, the so-called moderates were, defecting to the Al Qaeda groups and everything like that. So my question is, like, when you have no monopoly on force,
then the cartels can't buy the monopoly on force off. They can't bribe the monopoly on force to
and the
expedite their nefarious deeds.
The cartels also would not really exist because the thing that they are currently making all of their money on,
drugs,
i.e. drugs, would not be illegal, so there wouldn't be that profit motive.
Right, so you'd have to find something. Gangs make their money off of things that are illegal, and I'm not saying that in a libertarian world that there aren't going to be things that are illegal. There
Al
certainly
Capone
would be.
was a gangster only because alcohol was prohibited during the 1920s.
Okay, but the cartels are making less money off of drugs, and now they're starting to turn toward things such as kidnapping for ransom. So it's not like you could just legalize anything that they might want to get their hands into.
Now, kidnapping for ransom is something similar to bail. So what they're doing is they're competing with local governments for government position.
That's a
government
strange way of putting it.
If
they murdered the people that they kidnapped.
Well, and sometimes they do. There's no doubt. And governments are responsible for killing. Their organizations claim a monopoly privilege over the use of violence in a given landmass. All cartels are doing is disputing that monopoly.
Yeah, okay. But
I'm not saying they're good.
The police, yes, it's fair enough. Sometimes the police do kill people in their custody. This has occurred. We have that documented. Cartels are doing it a lot more, and they're torturing people a lot more.
Sure.
It's a matter of scale here.
But okay, so to get the power that they got, governments had to kill a lot more. Once they have the power, people understand that they'll already kill. So the cartel
will reform and become a more benign.
That's generally what happens to gangs once they cement their power. Is they that they're killing in order to cement their power. Once their power is cemented, they do less killing. I'm not advocating for gangs. I'm drawing a parallel between gangs and government. A government is simply the most successful gang in a given geographic area, and what you're finding in Mexico is, in many cases, that success is being disputed.
But isn't that exactly then proving the point that it's much better to have one undisputed government that's already benign?
Well, how do you get an undisputed government in Mexico?
Well, I'm saying that if you had a strong government that wouldn't be able to be intimidated or bought by these cartels, then
they don't have drug cartels in North Korea, Mark.
Like in Somalia.
That's right.
Or in Somalia, you also had a sort of a vacuum or in Libya, where multiple groups are killing each other.
We use the term Somalia to suggest that geographic area was supposed to have one government, but instead it has several, and that look,
going back to your original issue of how do libertarians sort of deal with this issue of, well, don't we need the government to take care of things such as this? And I think that there's a fair number. Not all libertarians think the same thing, and there's some more moderates, such as myself, who say, you know what, actually we do need the police to deal with things such as this, but also recognizing that it can get to the point where it is in places like Mexico, where the police and the cartels are now in cahoots. That's why we have the Second Amendment, because of that contingency.
Mexico doesn't have that.
Nope.
And they can't dispute, like the average person doesn't have an AK-47. And that might provide them a certain level of security against a cartel. I'm not saying it would. I don't know. I don't want to be in those circumstances. But I like to use
it's really an unfortunate situation.
It's pretty bad.
Absolutely is.
I mean,
I like to use this as an example,
ISIS,
Greg. For me,
I was going to say ISIS makes money from oil, which is legal, or it's not illegal to have oil, and so you can always find ways to fund yourself. You can fund yourself many different ways.
But at that point, it's a business. I mean, well, okay, never mind.
Yeah. Right. I mean, ISIS is funding its illegal activities with what should be a legal activity, but except that there's these boycotts in place, and then it's an illegal activity again. I like to think of a libertarian society. There are functional libertarian societies right now, occurring today. They are called cruise ships. Okay? It's a private place where people choose to go to live, albeit for a brief period of time usually, and they function within a city. It's self-contained. There's very few laws as far as maritime laws go.
And they have security.
They have their own security provided. That's a libertarian society. People running around with 50 cows mounted on the back of old Toyotas, not a libertarian society. Eight-year-old coal miners, again, not a libertarian society. Thanks for the call, though, Greg. Free Talk Live.
The Liberty Dollar was so successful that the United States government had to take it down, and its founder, Bernard von Nothaus. Now Bernard's son Extra has launched Liberty Dollar 2. LD2 is a cryptocurrency, but each token is backed by the same gorgeous fine silver rounds that Liberty Dollar has always been known for. Your silver is secured in an audited vault and can be redeemed at any time. There's only a few thousand LD2 Zero tokens left in the crowd sale at ld2coin.io. Get yours, ld2coin.io. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Heart-related health problems affect millions of people each year. Maybe you're one of the many who suffer from issues related to angina pain, high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, unbalanced cholesterol, irregular heartbeat, or clogged arteries. There is a solution that doesn't involve expensive prescription drugs that only mask the problem and leave you with horrible side effects. If you are ready to live your life free of sickness, pain, and fear, live your life with increased vitality, energy, and youthfulness, and experience your body healing itself, then you're ready for Heart and Body Extract from Healthy Hearts Club. Here is what one satisfied customer had to say about Heart and Body Extract regarding his angina pain.
I haven't had an angina pain since I've been on it. The Heart Body Extract is just so great. I thank God that I was led to this product that's doing so much for me and that can do so much for other people.
Call to order your 2-month supply of Heart and Body Extract today. Call 1-866-295-5305 or go to hbextract.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
All right, it's another edition of the Edgington Post Show. This is Mark Edge, and I am coming to you live with Sasha Daygame. Sasha, we interviewed you at the last Anarchapulco. Is that right?
That's right. I remember that. It was fun.
Yeah. And this year you've got a much bigger role. At Acapulco, apparently you're going to host a thing called the Infinite Man Workshop.
The Infinite Man Summit. That's right.
Okay. I want to hear a bit about that. But first, I'd just like to, go through your resume here, as it were. You started out as a stand-up comic?
That's right, for many years.
Yeah, where was that? Did you tour? I mean, mostly in one particular area?
I started out in Toronto, a little bit in LA when I was really early on, and then I was a whole career basically in London and all around the UK, a little bit in Sweden, Holland, but yeah, mainly I was in the UK.
And then you apparently went on from being a stand-up comic to a dating coach. What is that?
That's right. Well, I had a really tough childhood growing up. It was really brutal. I was the only kid that I knew that was actively trying to get kidnapped. Hanging out up front, people would walk by. I'd be like, "Sir, do you want a kid? Please take me with you." True story. So it was really tough for me. So my way of sort of getting love, because I didn't get it at home, was cracking jokes. And so that filled the void for a while. But I really, I was horrible with women, frankly. I just had no self-love, didn't know who I was, could not get a girlfriend, even though I desperately wanted one, which is a normal thing for, young men. And I decided to, I just got exposed to this whole pickup community. But back then it was very, very fake. It was like, you got to go to the club and dress cool and get girls drunk and tell these cool stories of how great you are, all this stupid. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm just going to go on the street and I'm going to come up to girls and tell them they're cute and ask them for their phone number. And I started doing that, and it just kind of blew up, just people started, this whole movement called Day Game started, and now it's a whole thing.
Yeah. So you were doing sort of the pickup artist thing. How successful is it just walking up asking women for their telephone number? How does that go?
It really depends on who you are, your level of skill, but ultimately what I realized, how comfortable you are with yourself.
Right.
Because women, they're very, very good at picking up what's going on. So if you're kind of insecure and scared and you're not really comfortable in your own skin, even though you might have the courage to walk up and say hi, they'll still be like, okay, this guy's really forcing it. He's a bit weird, whatever. So it might not work. But if you really work on yourself and you're pretty real about it and just like, hey, look, you know what? You're gorgeous. I'd love to go on a date with you. I just thought I'd come over and have a chat, see if we connect. And your energy is good and she's not getting creepy vibes. Yeah, women will chat to you. They'll give you their number. At one point I was dating 4 women at once, and I met 3 out of the 4 doing exactly that, and one a different way. So it definitely can work.
Huh. I have done it one time in my life, and I was, I think, in high school when I did it and had some level of success, but not my system. Then again, I'm married, so I don't need a system. I'm doing all right. How does that figure in any way to the Infinite Man Summit idea? Or I mean, it sounds like you want to work on yourself before presenting it to the greater audience, as it were.
Exactly right. So back in those days, again, when you're a young man and you got a high sex drive, the priorities, you want to meet girls. It doesn't really get more priority than that, when you're like 18, you know how it is. We've all been there, but of course what I learned after all these years and eventually moving into personal development is that everything comes down to your relationship with yourself. Who are you? Knowing who you are, knowing why you're here, knowing your purpose in life, and really loving and appreciating yourself, and really getting past a lot of this trauma that we're exposed to in this society, right? I mean, you've seen it, and anybody in the anarchist volunteers freedom movement knows the news, the media, all of it, all of the propaganda. The women have to be perfect and men have to earn this much money and drive this car and be masculine, all this kind of stuff. So we're getting so much. It's so difficult to compete on the level we're supposed to compete at. Everybody's, we're all looking at everyone as the competitor. We're all cutting each other's throats trying to get ahead in life because that's the system that we're in, And so you take all of that trauma, all that pressure, you got to earn $250,000 a year. This guy's earning $500,000. Oh, this guy's making up. This guy's worth $20 million. So we got all that. And then, of course, we get all that trauma from our parents. Unless your parents are enlightened masters, guess what? You're picking up all their patterns, all their insecurities, all the stuff from them. So most people, surprise, surprise, they got issues, And so as a man, especially out in this world, you really got to work on yourself to get to a place of healing. You got to heal your trauma. You got to figure out who you are and what you're doing here. And eventually you get to a point where you really feel good about your life and where you're at in the 4 core areas, hopefully, which is what we focus on at the summit. Your health, your wealth, your relationships, and your purpose / spiritual connection, if you will. And when you get it down, you're pretty decent. Yeah, it's you can get a girl. Absolutely, you can get a girlfriend, you get a wife, you can get multiple girlfriends, you can whatever you want. But it really comes down to who are you? How do you feel about yourself? Are you doing okay? Are you okay? You need to be in a place where you're pretty solid if you really want to attract an amazing partner.
Yeah, I used to look at it. I had this policy where I was going to do something every day to work on my mind, my body, my spirit, and my finances. And I figured, let's forward motion. Forward motion's a good thing. What I have found in watching other people, because I haven't had I didn't have a lot of problems with this particular aspect all along. I realized that there are about as many men as there are women on the planet, and that means that in my age group there are about as many women as there are men, and that means that they're not gonna. They'd like a guy with a job, but they don't need a guy with a particularly large paycheck. It just never was an issue for me. But when I've talked to friends who seem to have that hang up, it seems like there's no paycheck that will ever make them whole. Like they're never going to get to that point. If you're looking at a paycheck to make you worthy of dating, then you're never going to get the paycheck large enough to make you worthy of dating, is how I see it.
Brother, you said it exactly right, but it goes so much deeper than that. And this is what I've been discovering on my, spiritual path, which I've been on now quite heavily for a couple of years. You're never going to find deep, lasting happiness in anything other than your connection with yourself, whether it be drugs or alcohol or, finally when I get a beautiful girlfriend, then I'll be happy. Or when I get that job or that, $1 million paycheck or whatever, I'll be happy. Nothing will make you happy other than living the most authentic version of yourself. Really, when you recognize this is who I am, this is what makes me happy, this is why it's really about finding your purpose. It really is a real thing. It's not just something I throw around. I genuinely believe every single human being has a reason that they're here. We have a divine purpose that we're doing on the planet. It's a big thing coming down here and incarnating as a human. It's tough work being a person, and if you really align yourself with who you are and what you're doing here, the joy of life is in being who you are fully, authentically in every single moment, expressing, the highest version of yourself possible. That's where the joy is. And when you're really comfortable in your own skin, just being who you are, it doesn't matter how much money you make or the clothes you wear or none of those things matter because you're just happy existing. And that, for me, that's the point of the Infinite Man Summit, getting your health, your wealth, your spirituality, your relationships all aligned so you really can just be a happy, wonderful, loving person every single day.
Yeah, to me, when it came to relationships, which I think are probably what people think about the most, it seems like for men, they go to work in order to make the money so that they can have the relationship. Like all these things it all seems focused around the relationship. When when you stop, I know it's an old cliche, right? You stop looking, and then it comes to you. But I think really for me, what it meant was I stopped trying to be something that somebody might look for, and instead was just who I wanted to be. And then I attracted the kind of person that I was looking for, as opposed to if you're putting out strange bait, you're going to get strange, catches, as opposed to putting out, what's right for you. Then, yeah, you're going to get the right person in.
Brother, once again, you nailed it right on the head, man. That's what's so frustrating for me when I see these guys. They're trying to be something that they're not. They're trying to be more alpha, or act like they're more successful, or act like they have more money.
Yeah, what the hell is alpha?
Whatever. But what are you going to attract if you're acting like I'm a super macho man and I'm so rich? Okay, you're going to get a gold digger who wants you for your money. Great. Right. And even if you sleep with her once or twice, how long before she realizes you're full of crap and she goes on to the guy who really has more money than you? I mean, it's horrible. But when you're just being you, and you're comfortable in your own skin, you're going to find a woman who likes you for you. And that's where the magic is, right there.
And the relationship that a woman can provide is so much more important than however she looks physically. There's this great meme I've seen on the internet a few times since I've been on there, which is this beautiful woman in some position or another, and it says, no matter how good she looks to you right now, there's somebody who's sick and tired of putting up with her crap. If you want to hear the rest of the Sasha Day Game interview, just go to archives.freetalklive.com. You can search by month and year there. Just go to November 2018, and you could do Control F and search for Sasha, Sasha, archives.freetalklive.com.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
Who told you to go this way? You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey.
Who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video or audio allowed in this hospital.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait on account. Now. Wait a minute.
Whoa. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me.
What
am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set